my introductions to a minute or less. Is I sat out there in the audience like you guys, and when they start going into Andy's done this, Andy's done this, and I'm like you guys going, oh God, come on, you know. The guy's that good, we're gonna know when he gets up on stage, right? It is true, I have a degree in real estate from the University of Texas. That and $5 will give you a cafe mocha at Starbucks. Okay. Real estate, for most of you in the room that know this, it's what I call a street business. Okay? You make money in real estate by acquiring knowledge, what you guys are doing today. Thank you for coming. And then applying it with the experiences you get as you start looking for prospects and writing contracts, right? It's a relationship thing. You don't pick it up by osmosis. You got to plan your success. And the crazy thing about real estate is, it's a very easy business to understand. It's a bit more complicated to execute. You know what I'm saying? I can teach you in an hour or 2, 3 hours how to write a contract. But actually doing it under the glare of a buyer and seller who own 4 or 5 homes and you're new, that's the part about the execution that's a little harder to do. So, by the way, it's like I told my son, I didn't go get a degree in real estate to sell real estate. I didn't need a degree in college to do that. I got a degree in marry up. That's true. And if you met my in-laws, you know I wouldn't have gotten in the door without a college degree at that house. So I was very fortunate. Okay. It is true, I still sell real estate, although I do a lot of commercial stuff. A lot of commercial guys in the room know that. But I've sold hundreds of houses. I was, I guess, a mega agent before we coined that term. But that was when average sales prices of $37,000. First house I ever sold was on Warbaum Street in San Antonio for $7,500. That's incredible. By the way, you can still buy homes for $7,500. You're just going to do it in your South Dakota. They're there. Yeah, they're there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to spend the first half, Stacy's my official timekeeper. We're going to spend the first half talking about what I call the fundamentals of real estate. There's 4 basic fundamentals. I don't care if you're selling residential, commercial, property management, investment, funds, whatever. These 4 principles apply if you want to be successful. Then I'm going to take the second half this morning and we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about closing techniques. This seems to be a lost art. I got to look at everybody with gray hair or bald heads. When I got in the business, they taught you selling technique, didn't they? That's a closing line. It's called a tie-down. Isn't it when the condition that don't you want you can't you? Those are tie-downs, aren't they? And I shut up and then you answer. Isn't that how it's supposed to work? And that's called using a question. Question is your most powerful tool in your belt. Robert, where'd you go? We're talking about working open houses, right? And I said there's 5 magic questions on an open house. You ask all 5 and you ask them in this sequential order. First question you ask when they walk in the door is, how'd you guys find me? You know, and then they tell you, oh, we went on the internet. Well, that tells you something, right? Okay? Most people go on the internet today, so that's not a big surprise. Or I may have said, oh, we followed the signs. So that tells me something. That tells me they're probably from out of town. Well, that's question number 3. Okay? And San Antonio is easy to get around in. Thank God. Blue Port Town, 1604. We used to drag race on 1604. Remember that? San Antonio Drag Raceway. The DPS troopers were so sweet. I grew up in an era of the muscle car. And y'all know what those are? It's totally ironic to think that the car I drove in high school now sells for $150,000 at the Beacon Auto Exchange. I should have put the stupid thing under a tarp. I mean, it's amazing. But we used to drag race on 1604 because there's no else out there. So at 10 o'clock, the DPS troopers would sit up high on the hill, and that was their signal to turn it off. So what they do is they turn their lights on, and we'd scurry like mice. They weren't even coming down the hill. They just turned the lights on. They were drinking coffee. Okay, I guess time to get down. They never came near us. They understood we needed a place to let off steam. So that's what it is. All right, let's go on top. Real estate in a nutshell. Principle number one, simplicity matters. By the way, y'all got your mic notes if you want, but I'm going to give this to all three of your team leaders so you'll have this. Okay? I'm going to give you all the scripts and everything today. I'm not going to hand them out to take you and have all the scripts and everything I've done. It's all nuts and bolts. Simplicity matters, correct? Why do you shop at Amazon? It's easy. They got the credit card, they make recommendations. I don't have to do anything. It's easy. Why do you use Uber? It's easy. I mean, you know, in the development business, we have a rule, and that is that water will always find its lowest level. Right? You go with some developers in the room. All you got to do is look at the lowest part of the lot and figure, okay, that's where the drainage facility needs to be. Customers and clients will always gravitate to the agents who build what the old admin used to call top of mind awareness. Ever heard that term? Top of mind awareness. If you want to build a real estate career, it's all about two things. One, training yourself where you're working with, and then going and telling people about it. Okay? My first comment to Robert this morning said, I'm getting my career going. I said, look, your goal is to get 200 people who know you and like you so well that when they're at a party or they're down at Caceria wolfing out a taco and trying to keep the stupid pigeons from eating their meal, until I live here, right? And someone across the table says, yeah, it looks like we may get transferred to Seattle. They go, oh my God, you got to call Stacy. And they go, who? Stacy, my realtor, Keller Williams. Oh my God, let me tell you the story. You with me? It's very simple. You have a buyer, you got a seller. All we do is put people together. That's all we do. It ain't complicated. But you've got to build a value proposition for them that's so good that they don't forget who you are. Does that make sense? Oh, well, that's equalizer. We'll talk about those last half. Won't we? Yeah. It's a tie down. Okay, there you go. You got to learn to talk like this. I want you to change your lingo. When I used to ask girls out for a date, when you get close to the speaker, I just don't see the speaker except that one up there. When I used to ask girls for a date, I was very successful. Not because I was the best looking guy, trust me. It was because when I asked them, I didn't say, do you want to go out on Friday? I said, listen, I really think you're incredible. I like to prove it in lots of different ways. How about I come see you Wednesday or would Friday be better? Yeah, listen, that's another choice, right? It's called an alternate choice. When I used to close for a listing, and I made the presentation, and I felt the time was right, I slid the piece of paper across and I said, who between the two of you has better penmanship? Now why am I asking that? Because they're going to have to fill out the what? The seller's disclosure. Now let's call them a something close, because I stick that disclosure right there, and I go, who's got the better penmanship? It's not you want to list with me. And so immediately, most of the time, the husband goes, she does. And I go, that's good. And I push it to her and I say, your first name is? Marcy. Start at the top. Read it carefully because I can't give you advice on this and you just work your way down. I can answer questions. Now just shut up. If she starts filling it out, what's happening? They're closed. They're ready to roll. Okay? So now we'll talk about that second half. Simplicity matters. The whole concept of KW was massive simplicity. Here's why. And I realize some of y'all may not see this, but I want you in your mind to picture, like we're going to do it like this. We're going to do a big L-bar graph. You remember this from college? Remember this? Widgets. Remember JK Economics? All right. Here's the volume, and here's the number of agents. As you increase the number of agents, what happens to your volume? It goes up, right? It better. It goes up. What everybody forgets, though, is that the expense line is actually a bell curve. And it looks like that. Everybody see that? That's how it works. And what Gary and I, when we first put the numbers together, was this was 6 agents and this was 33. So basically, until you got the 33 agents, you weren't breaking even. Make sense? Equalize your statement. Well, why is that? What was one of the different reasons? For example, if all I've got is between 6 and 33, what happens if the main server in the office goes down? Or what happens in your office when the main server goes down? You haven't got Wi-Fi. What do y'all do?
Scream.
Scream! Scream!
Complain.
Computers are not a fad. They're a trend. You can't function without them. Where would you be without this piece?
Nowhere.
I mean, has life changed? I flew back from New Jersey. I'm sitting in the airport and everybody's doing this. And I mean, I laugh sometimes and I go, oh, life is so incredible. I'm going, really? Really? You're sitting there at the dinner table, my kids are there doing this. That's a great life? It's like people who tell me, oh, we love Apple. Really? You ever been to an Apple store to get service? I mean, no offense. I mean, Apple products are great, I got one. But let me tell you, it's no picnic walking in our store trying to get service. Not as an old geezer guy like me. First of all, they look at me, you know, you can kind of tell because they're young and they're not taught sales technique at Apple. They're taught geek technique. It's got nothing to do with how you work with customers. If they did, they fix their put-through. Anybody been in a restaurant business, y'all know what put-through is? Put-through is what happens from the time they make that order to when they get the food, right? Some restaurants have better put-through. I stopped at McDonald's this morning. We had a line of 15 cars. 2 minutes later, I was at their window. That's incredible put-through. Apple needs to work on their put-through. You know, old geezers walk in and they're not sure, you know, the girl says, oh, evening. And she moves you to the table and, oh, we're going to move you to this table. You know what I mean? And you feel like you're in Russia or something. Eventually they fix your problem, but it's a really weird feeling that you get. But you only have 2 choices, right? This and Android. And Android doesn't even have stores. So let's go back. Server goes down, we're in big trouble. Okay? By the way, if this is the number of agents I have, and I hire a team leader, how much can I pay that team leader if I got 30 agents in that office? Well, can I pay him what Craig makes? Craig, who's your team leader now? Craig's my team leader? Oh my God, what a freaking disaster that's going to be. Y'all are laughing, I'm serious. He needs to replace himself like tomorrow. I don't have to tell y'all that. That's just our secret. Maybe he's in the bathroom. But here's my point. Can I pay someone Craig's salary right now if all I got 30 agents? No. So if I do hire a team leader in that office, what do they also have to do in regard to collecting their base salary? They got to go sell, right? Some of y'all have been in offices like that. I don't blame them, they're forced into it. But what happens is that starts to create an unlevel management playing field, right? Because when that good referral comes down from one of your operations in Illinois, who ends up with that lead? We've all been there. Everything changes except human nature. We're going to talk about that. That's principle point number 2. Okay? Don't write that down. Well, you can write it down. It's okay. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give this slide. Human nature is they're going to take that lead and work it, right? They're set up like that. That office is set up to fail. It's going to be very hard to make it work. Now, why does an office work with 6 people or less? Because it's boutique. They're in the middle of Alamo Heights and everybody's working out of their house. You can do that. You can do that. I'm sure there's Alamo Heights boutique brokers right now functioning just fine like that. Cooper Realty, I think, started like that in the early days. Back when the earth was cooling and I was selling for Tony. Okay? Well, I mean, and that formula can work. Now, they've expanded more on traditional things, and they're big like us now. But the point is, you can do that. Now, above 33, what Gary and I realized is, what if we put 66 agents in this office instead of 33? What was the additional cost of that? Well, not much. It's Especially not in the KW office. You're already paying for everything anyway, right? We don't give you anything. Let's get serious. I mean, you pay for your sign, you pay for your lock boxes, you pay, you pay it all. But guess what? Even if I'm with another traditional broker who says, oh, who's done the 50-50, you're still paying for it. When Gary and I made the switch to go to the KW system, as y'all know it, that was the toughest thing in the agent's minds is to start understanding they're the ones writing the freaking checks. I'll never forget. Gary Gentry tells the story. One of the first agents we ever hired. A guy walking off the street said, can you make a copy? Sure, we can make a copy. The agent took the guy in the back room, made a copy. The guy looked at the agent and said, how much stolen? And the agent said, oh, nothing. Copies are free. And Gary was working behind a cubicle in that room. And he went, what? This is not free. You guys support the whole thing. Gary's not out to sell it. Craig's not out to sell it. You're the ones that do it. So the money's your money. So we decided that it made a lot more sense from a responsibility aspect. See, I like Southwest Airlines. I love their business model. Why? Because in the early days, everybody that worked at Southwest Airlines felt like they owned the place. They did. Now, there were biddies to it. I mean, the first time I flew, the girls were wearing pink hot pants. I'm like, I gotta fly this thing, hold on. Don't remember those days. I mean, today you could never get away, right? Oh, sex is, but it was a cool airline, and everybody had fun. Now, they kept the fun aspect of it, have they not? It's fun. But the reality is that when we looked at this, we decided if the agents were paying their fair share of things they should own anyway. Okay? It's going to make them think more like owners. It's going to make them more responsible. It's going to make them think about giving me this goofy ad to run in the Express News, which on the surface, reading the ad, nobody would have called on that ad. It was terrible. It wasn't thought through. And these are back in the days when we used newspaper ads, full wires and salads. You don't do that. You basically put the newspaper out of business with the internet. All you get now is no local reporters and wire service reporting. That's all it is. It's not what we're reading. The internet's done that. But the reality is in those days, it made everybody start thinking about themselves as business owners because you were charged their expenses. Now, in fairness, if that was indeed the case, Gary and I realized you got to up the commission dollars now. Why are we taking 50, 50, 60, 40, 70, 30 splits? Which is what we used to have. So we went to you guys and got those splits. We said, hey, we're going to start on a higher split, in most cases 70, 30, and we're going to cap your commissions. Nobody ever heard that. That makes sense? Now, by the way, if I'm not running larger offices, I can't do that. The numbers aren't there. And all we do is we went off the charts. We're over here. How many agents are in Craig's office? 916. All right, now what realistically, what that tells me that 20% of them are capped. So you got 180 maybe capped. They're carrying most of the load. You got cappers, wannabe cappers, friends of the real estate industry, and the new people. To me, that's the board rental agents you have. And by the way, I love the friends of the real estate industry. One of my very best friends works for a competitor here in San Antonio. Her husband has a great job. She does it because she loves real estate. It's not like they gotta have the money, but she loves the real estate business. I love people like that. Some people say, well, they're not full-time. Well, full-time's a state of mind. To me, I'll show you guys that got started in corporate world. They do a lot of real estate. They're better agents than full-time people we have. And now my point is this. We realize that by scaling the office, you're going to get a massive difference in these numbers, okay? You're going to get lots of money, lots of profit. So here's the deal. One of the things we wanted to do was drive you guys to think like owners. So what concept did we think up that helps do that? Profit share. That's how profit share came to be. But let me make it straight. If you don't scale the offices, there's no profit share. You can't do small office. I know people all the time go, well, you know, they're so big, I get glass. That's what competitors say, right? Well, look, so was the University of Texas. I went there as a junior. Most of my allegiance, I always sacked. I had better real estate instructors at San Antonio Junior College than I had at the University of Texas. Because all the guys at the JUCO stage, they got full-time jobs in real estate. I love those guys. I mean, I learned more there. I went to the University of Texas, and I had to laugh. The guy said, well, I can't give you credit for principles of real estate from the junior college. And you know what I was going to say? Okay, fine, I'll take it again. But it was nowhere as good as the guy in Johnny Rosenor's office who taught that class. Because it's what he did all day long. Does that make sense? I mean, I laugh when people go, oh, I can't afford college. Bullshit. College. And he didn't take a lot of money at the junior college level, and I got better instructors. Then I transferred to the University of Texas. And the only problem with being a JUCO transfer, I still don't know where half the buildings in that place are. And UT. Because we just lived in the business. Anyhow, but it's a big place. But here's the deal. Yeah, it's a big place, but I want how you take advantage of a big place. Correct? Who's got the best training in the world? You work for them. If you're not taking advantage of these classes and courses, and I will tell you sometimes travel. Yeah, you can take the KPA here. I go to Dallas. Why? Because you're going to meet a bunch of Dallas agents and you can hand your card to them. You think they got people coming from Dallas to come down here? I guarantee you they do. That's why I'm a big advocate of going and taking some courses outside of your area. It's a very smart thing to do. If you want referral business, if you don't want referral business, it doesn't matter. I asked Cynthia, my assistant, has been with me for 22 years, how much money we made last year on what we call airport referrals. It's a separate category. Well, here it is. Why? When I sit down in an airport, in a plane, I look over at you, and I can tell immediately if you're a head person or a heart person. Because a head person pulls their book out immediately and starts reading their book. A heart person's still on their phone. They checking messages, checking Facebook, all this. So I love to turn to the heart people and go, going to work or going home? That's my opening line. Next thing you know, they say, well, I'm going to work. How can, what do you do? Well, I do this. And then if it's a heart person, what are we going to do?
What do you do?
We're going to talk the whole way. In fact, don't ask me why. I've never figured it out. Why, when you meet a stranger, 2 seats over, now they're not 2 seats over because you're on a cattle car right next to you. But why will a stranger that you've never met tell you the most intimate details of their life? You know, sitting right there, you guys don't do this in airplanes. Maybe it's just me. I look like a retail manager, so maybe they feel safe. I should have been a manager at Costco or something. People walk up to me all the time. Hey, can you tell me where? And I try to help. Oh man, that's why I'm 14. That makes sense? I mean, we all look the same. Kind of balding and clean up. We all look the same. You get the same thing. You know, the only reason they don't ask me out of Home Depot is I don't have one of my little orange shotguns. It's funny. But then at the end of the conversation, as we're thinking, what does she tell me? You know, my daughter's about to sell her home in Sarasota. Do y'all have an office in Sarasota? As a matter of fact, Julie, we do. Why don't you give me her name and I'll have one of our Sarasota. I'll personally place the call to Sarasota and I'll get her set up. Then we take that money and we stick it in the airport referral account. I use that as my charity money. It's fun. And it's just from having a conversation. The second part of the equation, telling people what you do, right? Okay, so what's the point here? Simplicity mattered to Gary. Let's scale this sucker. Now we got money for training, for all kinds of stuff. 46% of Craig's office profits go where? Private charity. 46% of those profits every month go to you guys, or whoever else gets y'all in the business. How cool is that? That just is off the charts. I'm amazed we're not on the front page of Forbes or Inc. magazine yet. I don't know what company in the world that does that. But you're with one that does it. And it's your company, by the way. You're the guys. You're the guys too. I think that's pretty cool. People ask me all the time, what's the secret to catering to success? I draw an L large graph on the napkin. just like the Southwest Airlines guys did. Houston, San Francisco. I just call you out more and say, here's the secret. Our guys understand the essence of being in a larger office and how to take advantage of it. Very simple. I was in D.C. for a Mardi Gras presentation, a social event, with Jenny and my wife. I was sitting across the table from a Long and Foster manager. Great guy, really nice guy. His daughter was being presented at the thing. And he looked at me and said, Joe, don't you have a big office in Austin, Texas? I said, yeah, you're talking about our original office, our Southwest office, which I think yellow, large one. Hang out at the time, I think we had 700 agents. But he said, how many agents are there? I said, that's around 700. You know, he does the same thing everybody does. He looks at me and says, 700? 700? I've never heard of an office with 700 agents. My answer is always the same. I look at them and I go, and your point is? And it was great. He laughed. He got it. He got it. If it works, it works. The key is create an environment where people don't have to leave. Okay? All right. So, simplicity matters. What makes Southwest Airlines work? Why do you go there? It's simple. I understand. And we'll talk about that later. All right. Principle number 2. Everything changes except human nature. Okay? Remember, I laugh because I wrote an article about life 20 years from now. Did y'all see that in your Facebook feed? Life 20 years from now. Electricity is going to be so cheap. Did you get that in the article? Oh, it's going to be, water's going to be pure and easy to get, and all of this. And I'm mentally thinking, the problem with all these economic prognosticators is they don't understand the human heart. Everything changes except human nature. You telling me that there's not some guys going to monopolize that electricity, going to control it, figure out how to keep it under wraps? But that's human nature. It was a great book. I came back from France. My father-in-law, who we lost a couple of years ago, was one of the guys that stormed Omaha Beach, second wave, survived. He was from Louisiana, my wife's from central Louisiana. And Lucian spoke fluent French. So traveling back to D-Day for the 50th anniversary was absolutely a mind changer. It was a blast. And I was able to pick up a book at the Napoleon's tomb. Y'all have ever seen that? That's just off the charts. That's a bucket list item. Get there to see that. And it was a book written about a little history of the world. There was a school teacher in Germany, E.F. Fromm, and had an assignment that in 6 weeks he had to write the complete history of the world for 6th graders. So of course his vernacular had to match at the time what a 6th grader would understand, correct? Well, the book was so well written that it became a smashing success for adults. Because, you know, if you pick up A Tale of Two Cities or, you know, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, you know, but here, in literally 4 hours of reading, you could follow 2,000 years of mankind. And in a fun way. But one thing became crystal clear in that book is you will never stop the human heart and the way it tends to act. Which is to say, if you count up all of the wars that had occurred throughout that 2,000 years, it was mind-numbing. And I began to understand, you're never going to stop war. You won't. If you don't have a standing army, you're dead. You will get taken over. Because human nature never changes. Something in fact, I'll share it with you. I teach this to agents. I teach it to my kids primarily. But I want you to understand something. The world is a bell curve of people. Okay? Y'all know bell curve? Remember bell curve in college? At the very top end of the bell curve is 1% of the population. They are incredible people. If you're lucky, you'll meet 4, 5, maybe 6 of them in your lifetime. And you'll know it when you meet them. Doesn't necessarily mean they're wealthy. They're just very smart, very driven. They're just different. Okay? Very successful. At the very bottom end of the world scale, there's another 1%. These people are horrible. Well, they are. How many people travel abroad? Don't travel abroad? This is Boko Haram. This is ISIS. These are people that they don't care. There is no moral code. I mean, I find it totally ironic that people would be out there fighting on a religious basis and then they keep women as slaves. You know what I mean? I look at what some of these groups are doing. I'm like, well, this is just human nature playing out. They are the bottom 1%. This is why you have standing armies. You battle. Next to this 1% is another 19%, and they are the people who you wanted your children to hang with in high school. Why don't you go hang more with Stacy? Okay? Oh, thank God, my poor mother. I think about this. I graduated high school in 71. I mean, we had long hair, sideburns, and we're listening to, rock music, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, Steppenwolf. I'm sure my mom was like, this is the craziest. These poor kids will never amount to anything. Right? At least I don't do that now with my grandsons. I mean, I don't know what kind of a world they're going to grow up into because they're sitting around doing this. Except in my house. No phones. No phones in Big Texas house. We're outside. We're building telescopes. We're exploring. We're catching bugs. I'm putting the Boy Scout 101 when they come to my house. And you know what? They love it. Because they don't have to look at the screen and the video. We're going to play war. We're going to shoot BB guns at the little plastic army men. I did it. We played war. Y'all remember playing war as a kid? We did all day long. Didn't make me want to go to Vietnam. Well, it made me cognizant of war. You understand? I feel bad. Everybody goes, they're going to be warmongers. No, nothing else I do that when you shoot people with guns, they can die. So, point is, this 19%, most of you in this room are in this group. Like, I swear my life on it. You're there. You're in this 19%. Because this group, there's a big group in the middle. They're not usually self-employed people. They work for people. Now, by the way, there's another 19% down here. These are not happy people. Ironically, most of them end up running your local HOA. Aspires to political office. I don't know why. They're not happy. They're just not happy. That means out of every 10 people you randomly run into, 2 of them are likely to be in this category. So you've got to be cognizant of that because a good commercial agent once told me, he said, Joe, anybody can work stupid deals. That was John's way of saying, because I was complaining one morning about a client I had. And he's looking at me going, well, you're the one working with them. And it was like looking at myself in the mirror. He was right. Why was I trying to work with these people? They were horrible. It's just like in every real estate office, we know there's 10 of you that are just a pain in the ass. We know that statistically. And you're giving the team leader in the group all the trouble. You can't help it. You're in his group. Yeah, we hire some of these occasionally. Slips by the nets. So then what do you got? You got 60% of the population, and what are they doing? They're shady, you know what? Because they basically follow. They follow. We had a guy one time, and he came to speak at a KDF convention, must have been 12, 13 years ago. Some of y'all would remember. He called this group the, oh yeah. He called this group the, oh no. And he called this group the, okay. Everything changes except human nature. Okay? Personalities matter. What I found, we're going to talk about this in the second part of the presentation, is that people generally tend to make decisions with this or with this. Now, 80% of y'all in this room work with this. Okay? That's why testimonials work with y'all. That's why y'all go to Angie's List. Yelp knows that when you go there, yeah, you look at the trust fund, but all you heart people immediately gravitate down to the comment section. They know that. So they statistically move the best comments up in the first section. They're not dumb. They know you're not going to scan them all. Okay? Because some of y'all are D drivers. You haven't got time to do things. Well, you know what I mean. It's like, why read instructions for something when I can just drive down the road and try to muddle it away? That's classic B personality. The I doesn't read instructions any better. That gives them a chance to call a friend and ask. Hey, how did you figure that out? You know, that's, everything changes except human nature. Y'all know there's 4 basic personality styles. Y'all ever heard of Dick Dillingham? I love Dick. He's one of our best guys. A lot more success because Dick and Mike Grody and all these guys. But Dick used to do a wonderful analogy talking about the 4 personalities, the D, the I, the S, T, using the basic DISC test. He said, you know, they got to build a Christmas bike. You know what it is? You got to build a Christmas bike the night before. Wife comes to the husband and says, honey, got to build this bike for little John. Okay, no problem. D driver rips open the box, commences building it, calls the wife, says, honey, come take a look. She walks out and says, that's great, honey, but what's that part? Ah, he doesn't need that right. Classic D personality. The high I, no problem, honey, we'll get it done. First thing, they're on the phone. Hey, Jack, come over, bring some rice. Hey, see if your wife Sheila wants to come. Man, she cooked that salmon she had the other night. It's great. Hey, I think the Cowboys are playing a pregame. Let's get it up. So what happened? So it's a pretty party in the garage. About 2 o'clock, everybody finally filters out, feeling pretty good. Thank God no one's driving. They can walk up and down the block. And the bicycle, let's hope, is built and done. Now, the only difference between the S and the C is that the C takes all of the parts out and carefully makes sure that they're all there. Okay? But both of that group reads the instruction manual and makes sure it's done. That's how it works. What I did years ago was to understand these people. I know they make their decisions based on this and this. Now, we're going to talk about that in the second part because that's important to me. Because when I go list property, I don't know if you're a head seller or a heart seller because I don't do the same presentation. I have 2 separate presentations. They're modified a little bit here, a little bit there. Because I know a head person wants what? Data. Data, data, data. They want to know, do I have the most confident person? Heart person, they want to build a relationship with you. A heart person will never do business with someone they do not like and trust. So when you're going to talk to that heart individual, that's your goal, is to build a relationship with them that they can trust and they like you. That's the case with the business. They love testimonials. So testimonials work great on heart people. You leave the house after that first meeting, they'll be sitting there in bed drinking wine, reading your testimonials. Oh, honey, listen to this one. Again, Yelp knows that. Hotels.com knows that. They know that. They were Angie's List was built for you heart people. They know that. Okay? Head people, they don't care about that. They'd rather have a hot poker book at the right. Well, they want to know someone, the data. They want the data. They work with more tangible stuff. By the way, they're easier to close. I love head sellers. Well, I see what you're saying, Joe. We thought it was worth $600,000, but it's obviously only going to get $250,000. Isn't that a head seller? You brought them the data. Or it's a heart seller, they're like, no, you don't understand. We had to drive all the way to Lotus to get those railroad ties. Well, we've been there, right? That's why when you're talking to them up front, you have a special list of questions for heart sellers. You're going to spend more time with them, correct? I'll spend an hour. I mean, I talk to mega agents. God love mega agents. They go, oh yeah, we're just 50 properties a month, man. We don't spend more than 10 minutes. And boom, 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 boom. I mean, better than me. I learned a long time ago that if I got to spend an hour with a heart seller and really get to know them and really build a relationship, it was worth my time. Because I'm not going to spend 6 hours working to get this listing without getting the listing. Does that make sense? What's the average sales price in San Antonio? Across the board. How much? Well, one person answered, yeah, I can't. 252 current, okay. 252 If you got 3%, not guaranteed. Those are incredible numbers, right? $7,000. I looked at my son, who's a young real estate agent in Austin. Of course, he owns his food truck. He thinks food trucks in the future, but he could be right. But as I told Graham, I said, Graham, you make one sale, you've paid your bills. I mean, what an incredible business this is now because of those average sales prices. Okay, moving on. Big success is all about coordination and synergy. What do I mean? What's it take to run a good restaurant? Actually, it's doing what it did earlier. Hang on, let's see if it'll. He just decided it didn't want to work. Okay, there we go. What's it take to run a good restaurant? You will move when I press it. I need to just do it this way. Great food, right? Good service, reasonable prices, and last I would tend to tell you, decent location. How far will I drive for that top, right? So if that's the case, if you took a quadrant in San Antonio and you look at how many restaurants in that quadrant have been open for 20 years plus, and it wasn't a national chain, I'm talking local.
How are you?
It's amazing at how few that number actually is. In fact, in most places I've been when I've trained this, we never got past 10 in a big quadrant of every town. That's incredible. Why is that? Well, here's why it is. Because although it only takes 4 things to make it work, getting all 4 working in synergy at the same time is harder than it looks. I always think of high school football in Texas, y'all understand. What's it take? Offense, defense, special teams, coaching. Give me 3 of those 4, what am I going to be able to do? Well, I can win 8 games maybe. I can win 7 games, but I'm not going to win state, right? Not going to happen. You got to have all 4, and this guy probably knows, probably played. Yeah, I played freshman and sophomore year. By that time, everybody was 3 feet higher than me. Oh, I need to get a different profession here. Bottom line is, I can get all 4 working together, then I can create something really cool. I think Southwest Airlines again. What are their 4 things? First, clarity. What does Southwest Airlines deliver to you? They deliver an incredible flying experience, correct? Now, there's a lot of parts that go into that. Good prices, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Fun on the airplane, they're on time. I mean, the old statement about Southwest is, you better not be wiping your butt in the bathroom when they're ready to go, because they're gone. That was the old joke, because they were very good. But they know exactly what they're doing. Gary Keller is University of Texas is celebrating their 100th anniversary of their BBA program. He's one of the most famous BBA students from the University of Texas. So they had him come in and speak, and it was great, Gary. Because like he said, we really understood from day one what we were trying to do. And it really made a difference. Better economics, I don't have to tell you. Cheap flights, they don't charge for bags, they don't charge you for changing the ticket, right? They help. Okay. Hello, hello. All right. People, they got the best people. Have to think of Southwest Airlines the minute you get on the plane there and start to take off, you're listening to hear how funny the announcement's going to be, right? I flew to Florida when we came back after over water, and the guy, one of the funniest ones I think I've ever heard. It was so, the whole thing was funny. We were just laughing the whole way through as they're taxiing down the line. Because I remember she said, if in the case of water emergency, take your finger out, pull the cord, and kick paddle all the way back to shore. It was great. It was great. Last but not least, they create what? An environment. By the way, that's KW. That is KW. What was, in fact, let me go back and let's talk about that. Get the thing to work. There we go. What was KW's clarity of purpose? You're the man! You're the man! You're the man! You're the team! You're the we would do this. Most people say, you gotta be crazy. We may be crazy. But we're going to expand to different cities. Run a team, rock and roll. Use us as an umbrella organization. Don't knock it out of the ballpark. Nobody does that. 32 years ago when we said, we're not going to be the brand, I mean, my Coldwell Banker friends looked at me and said, you guys are nuts. Maybe we weren't. Apparently we weren't. Okay? Because that concept, now, there's downsides to it. The downside is there's got to be at least 200 different signs on yards in San Antonio. So we lose something from that. I'm not going to kid you. I'd love to have all the signs look the same. I think that'd be powerful. But people don't find you with signs now, do they? They find you with what? So the signs don't really matter. Flying to California, and a broker goes, you guys got the weirdest signs. I said, hey, that bothered me if people drove around and look at the signs, but they don't do that now. They go to the internet, they go to mobile. We're helping a guy put a storage facility in Austin. He's buying the most back of the piece you've ever seen over in East Austin. But he said, Joe, I don't need street frontage anymore because you know what? 80% of the people who find out self-storage use the internet. It doesn't matter where, I don't have to have street signage. So he's getting an ultra cheap piece of property because you couldn't see it unless you were flying a drone. You understand what I'm saying? He fully understands what that market and the shift that's occurred now, how people find you. That's why you youngsters can use Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook to go prospect. Me and you, when we started in the business, it was, hi, I'm Joe Williams, and I'm out walking your neighborhood in triple degree heat. By the way, it's a lot cooler here than it is in Austin. I don't know what's going on. We already had 20 days of triple digits. I'm like, what is going on with this? This is supposed to be in San Antonio, not here. Y'all understand what I'm saying though? Gary and I said, look, y'all are the brand. There's no sense us building on a big corporate name and y'all paying for it. Because when people are playing golf and someone says, I'm moving to Seattle, and he looks at his friends and says, who do you know? They don't go, oh, you should call Keller Williams. They don't do that, do they? They have a name. You should call Stacy. And here's why. That makes sense? So why do people create real estate companies where the name is the brand? I don't get it. That was our clarity of purpose right there. We decided, how can you build an agent-centric operation? Okay? Now, I wanted y'all to be responsible. That's why you pay for things. But hey, I give you that money back, don't I? With a 70, 30, and 100% capping program. Does that make sense? That's a better way to run it. Gary and I remember when we made the change, we stopped advertising in the paper. We just stopped it. And you know what? We didn't skip a beat. Because the agents got better at spending their ad dollars. Because it was their dollars. Right? Yeah, it made all the difference in the world. That's the reason we started really getting responsible. It made sense. Secondly, better economics. Well, you got a capping program, you got profit share, you got all that stuff. People, do we try to get the best team leaders? That's the way it's supposed to work, except in Craig's case. Who's now playing pseudo team leader. You only need a hammer on that boy to get him straight. Okay? Well, let me tell you something. You're going to be a franchisor for KW. It is hard. It's like being a policeman before the Austin Police Department. My son-in-law is a policeman. I couldn't believe what they put him through just to get into the training class. Unbelievable. It's like going to work for KW trying to buy a franchise. Hard to do. Many of y'all don't know the story, but we were going nowhere back in 93, 94 before we hired corporate consultant. This is a guy that Bain Hingham. Look at him, I help you. Bain Hingham. Bain came in and said, I believe you guys got some great ideas, but you don't know anything about franchising. In fact, the 60 office owners you put in, 20 of them are never going to make it. It doesn't matter what you do with them. It was a round peg in a square hole. And that's when he looked at Gary and said, you need to fire yourself. You're no CEO. Which was wonderful because who did we hire? Mo. That's how we got Mo Anderson. Turns out one of the best in the world was right there in Oklahoma. And Gary had the foresight to make her a great offer. She came on board. She spent the first 2 years cleaning up the mess we made. No, I kid you not. working her butt off doing it. They were not pleasant conversations. That's when she got the moniker, the Velvet Hammer, right? Yeah, well, darling, we're just not going to renew your franchise documents. Yeah. I would not have wanted to make those calls. Then environment. We created a culture, didn't we? How do we do that? Well, number one, we're just real about the real estate business. You want to come to our education class? Come on. I don't care who you're with. I'll educate the whole dapper real estate industry because you think that makes it better. Yes. But we're not stupid. We know if we want to show you what we're doing, you need to come down and hear what we got to say. Does that make sense? Oh, and by the way, we're going to take 46% of every office's profits and pay it back to all of you who brought the other agents on board. To me, that was so logical it defied gravity. At lunch with a good friend of mine, Remax, one time. In fact, it's one of the biggest disappointments of my life. He came to Paradigm 20 years ago. He's a great guy. We're on the board of directors together. He said, you know, I'm thinking about joining you guys. I said, man, now's the time. It's 20 years ago. Now's the time to do it. But he never did. Now, I don't ever say anything to him, but you know what's going through my head. And this is a guy that knew everybody. He knew everybody in that organization. And we built most of our leadership team from companies, fine companies like Remax and some of these. But the idea is to create a culture and environment. In fact, it's funny. Hire a top agent. 2 years later, you take him along. And you ask them a question. Why are you with us? You think they say the commission program? No, what do they say? I like the people I'm working with. I like my office. You know what they say? The dollars didn't have anything to do with it. Everything changes except human nature. People want to be with successful people. The good people do, the 19%, correct? This group, it doesn't matter where they are. They're not going to be happy. They're just not going to be happy. One thing I learned a long time ago is you cannot give people ambition. Just can't do it. Their mom and dad did that. On the way, raising your kids. Well, we'll talk about that later. No, that's a fun conversation. So what's your variables? What's an agent's 4 variables? Number one, what's your plan? Why are you in the business? Why are you here? What Gary calls your big why. What's your why? As Earl Nightingale used to say, you will become what you think about. Right? Stacy, I can already tell you I'm going to run over. Maybe look at my watch, so don't worry about it. You will become what you think about. Okay? Knowledge, market expertise. It's a fun part I'm going to do in the second part. It's going to talk about that. But you basically got to have product knowledge in this business, right? The beauty today is it's at your fingertips. When I used to sit on open houses and people would come to me and say, well, we love this Stone Oak area. And what high school does this feed into? Clark or?
Reagan.
Reagan? Okay. So let's say they know Reagan High School area. It's a great area. They've heard about NEISD and they know if it is NEISD, if it is. So I would look at that and I would say, well, let me take you through. Where do I want to do that? I always have a map on open house. These don't function open house by map. And I would draw a quick circle around that area that feeds into Reagan. And I would say, in this area, there are right now 30 homes for sale. I've seen all 30. And out of that group, 4 of them are spectacular. Would you like to say some money? That's a lot. And by the way, back when New York was cooling, and I was sitting in open houses, we had to physically drive to go see those homes. We did. Some of y'all remember that. My God, I go back so far that the MLS computer was a machine that you put a template on and you turn dials. You turn the minimum sales price and it printed out on that Oki data thermal paper. Y'all remember that? And the first lesson you learned is that if you put it up on the dashboard you were showing, when the sun came out, it made it go white. And you got back in the car and you're like, I'm a little more weak, and I definitely lost my sheep. I don't even know where I'm supposed to go. And that was the funny thing. thing, because we would never tell new agents that when they would join the company. We tell them, look, just put it up on your dashboard. Don't worry about it. And look, we didn't have cell phones back in those days. I mean, that was a real catastrophe. Fire looks at you like, I picked you. Anyhow, all right. Today, if I'm in an open house, how can I look at those 30 homes? Oh my God! I can sit on the open house and look at them and go, no. Whoa! Nice. 40, how many pictures does Sabre let you put in? 25. Holy moly, y'all are really ripped off. Austin gives you 42. Here's the point is, 25 is plenty. That's plenty. 42 is overkill. But y'all understand, today I can have my laptop there. I mean, normally I would say, can you come back after my open house closes and I'll show you these. Today, I can say, hey, I've got some beverages, would you like some wine? Have it. Here's my laptop, let me get you hooked up and you can let your fingers do the walking. Oh, by the way, I've already preloaded those top 5. Take a look. I mean, you understand? You don't even have to go and do this anymore. It's so easy. You digitally go out there and look for people. You got tools that I only dreamed about when I was 19 years old, and I looked like I was some young kid in a band uniform. I mean, the tools you have today are off the charts to close these people to become clients of yours. Okay? Provided you're out there talking to people. That's very important in reading, right? You have to tell people what you do. Okay. Go get the knowledge. Go get market expertise. By the way, to become an expert, I was a new homes expert. I'm in the new homes business backward, forward, straight. I would go to banks and I would say, look, I've had coffee with 20 of the developers on the north side of San Antonio. I can tell you every development that's coming out of the ground. Would you agree with me that when builders come to you to get construction loans, if they don't have the right lot, we're going to be in trouble. And you will too as a bank. It's riskier for you, isn't it? Anyway, yeah. And then I rolled out my map showing where everything was coming. And then I said, of the 20 developments, these 5 developments, they're going to fly like the wind. So if you're backing builders in these areas, so by the way, that builder's been talking to you about doing construction loans. Why don't you get me involved with those guys and I'll make sure they're in the right spot? Because one ingredient for builders is the right lot. Then you got to have the right plan, then you got to have the right amenities, and then you got to have the right price. So if you're a builder and you have all 4 of those variables covered, you got an 80% chance you're going to sell this puppy before it's completed. Does that make sense? That's an equalizer. And the banker goes, yeah. Who are you again? Does that make sense? Yeah, that's what I did. That's how I talk. I just sat down with them and I said, I'm here to lower your risk. Will that help in your banking business? I shut up. And they go, yeah. Who are you? Why are you here? I gave them my plan. By the way, was it hard to have coffee with those developers? No. Nobody ever called them. Real estate agents never called them. By the way, how did you find those 20 developments? It's public data. It's down at the development office in San Antonio, which is a joy to work with. You don't know what you have. You go to San Antonio development office, they're like, hey, we're here to help you. What do you need done? You do that in Austin, they're like, oh, holy garlic. Who are you and why are you here? We're going to delay your development as long as we can. By the way, we want a bunch of low-income units in this thing. They're not going anywhere. That was like California. I kid you not. That's why I'm building townhomes in Asheville. That's why I own half of South Florida. It's easier to do stuff there. We just sold a piece to D.R. Horton down in South Florida. It was the easiest thing I've ever done. Bought it for 20 cents on the dollar. We sold it for 40 cents on the dollar. And we never turned a spade. Okay? Anyhow, don't get me started. That's what happens when you let politics run amok, which is crazy now on all levels. Okay. Lead generation. Pick one. There's nothing going on in your life, 2 hours of lead generation a day on solve. Right? And that's the part about telling people what you do. Well, I want you to understand. Your deal is to get a database of 200 people who love you to acquire a top-of-the-mind awareness about what you do. So when they're out and about having conversations about real estate, they bring up your name. That's it. People often are prospecting, it's like easier to go find them out under rocks and trees. And I'm like, I don't get it. Work with the group you got. Okay? And by the way, if you're new, there's going to be 2 or 3 people that know you and love you. It doesn't matter who you are, they're so tight with you, they're always going to call you with a real estate need. But let me tell you, you know another 150. That group needs to be massaged. They need to be shown that you have made the right career decision. That makes sense? So you used to be a postal worker, and you didn't understand. Now you decided to go into real estate. God bless you, you joined the 19%. That's a huge commitment. By the way, it is. I respect everybody in this room. I know what it takes to get in this business and make money. I'll never forget in 86, 87, the worst of times, my daughter was born in 85, 87. She was what? 2, 3, 4 years young. Little. And I remember when she said, we had a friend next door got laid off. She was going out to an open house and she grabbed my leg and she said, Daddy, are you going to get laid off? I felt very proud to say, honey, not unless I do it myself. Okay? It's not an easy business if you're doing it wrong. It's a great business if you're doing it right. But if your big why is not big enough, you're going to have a tough time on tough days. You've got to be able to have a vision why you're doing it. It's like marriage. It's like marriage. If you don't have a big why in your marriage, you're going to have trouble. Okay? Parts of making a marriage work. There's 4 parts to a marriage too. I don't have time to cover. I'll tell you one is communication. Planning. Talking about having a vision for our marriage. Every January, you guys need to grab your wife, get off a favorite location, away from the kids, away from everything, her favorite wine, and you look at her and you say, and your first name is? Debbie. If you and I, what's your favorite restaurant you like to go to? Oh, new to the area, give her a favorite restaurant. Cheesecake Factory? That's kind of a bizarre favorite restaurant. Petroleum Club. Now you're talking, girl. So, Debbie and I are married. It's January. I made a date. I give you a card. It says mystery date. Friday night, 7 o'clock. Wear the best cocktail dress you got. We go there. We sit down. A little private booth. I got a pad. And I give you a pad. And I said, Debbie, I'm going to ask you a question. If a year from now we're sitting at the Petroleum Club, and you turn to look at me and say, honey, this last 12 months has been off the charts for our marriage. That's been incredible. If you were to say that to me 12 months from now at the Petroleum Club, tell me what would have to happen this year for you to feel that way. Now you don't have to answer. But y'all understand what I'm doing? I'm building a future self exercise. I want to know what can I, as your husband, do to create an off-the-chart marriage this year. And we're going to write this stuff down. And then I'm going to say, honey, can you ask me that same question? And she does. And then I talk about what would have to happen in our marriage between us two for me to feel that way. And that, ladies and gentlemen, becomes our plan. We take it, reduce it to writing, figure out who's got what responsibilities, we attach time frames to it. That's how you build a supercharged marriage. First, I'm talking about it, okay? But you know the guys don't talk. You ladies do. I talked to the other day. In fact, I think this dick came from KW, and I'm thinking, what are we hiring lately? They said that multitasking isn't really real. I'm sitting in a class, I'm like, what? They never met my wife. I mean, this girl could be tending tomatoes, pet the dog, shooting coyotes. Talking to the neighbor across the fence. I kid you not. This girl in Central Louisiana, she can multitask. Guys can't do it, it's a genetic problem, but she can. I'm kidding you. That's just like guys not asking for directions. I've never figured that out, but I know that's genetic. I'll prove it. Okay? There's 1 million sperm in the womb. One of them bothers to stop and ask directions. It's genetic. It's genetic. All right. So anyhow, we're not trying to get into narrative. All right. Let me. Let's go back for real. I didn't give you number 4. What's number 4 for the age? Leverage. All the things, the technology, and look, everything changes except what?
Human nature.
So as you use this technology, and look, it's great. The CRMs and everything that's out, and the big data, and all of that stuff is great, provided you understand it and you use it. And you don't have to use all of it. In fact, I'm going to tell you something. What I see now in life, as I told you earlier on, yeah, this thing is incredible. It does incredible stuff. But what's happened to relationships is they've become myopic. People don't talk. What's funny about the millennial boys, when my daughter was growing up, now she's 32 now, but as she was growing up, and these young men would come to date my daughter, it was a totally different species than what I was. When I was 16, 17 years old, I was talking with my girlfriend's dads. We were comparing notes, and we were talking, and they'd invite me over for dinner, and I was talking to mom and dad as much as I was talking to my girlfriend. These young boys, they don't even know how to ask a girl out. They don't. They use Facebook. They use Snapchat. They use their friends. Hey, go see if Charlotte will go with me to the prom. What a freaking cop-out that is. Hardest thing I ever did was ask a strange girl to the prom, and I didn't know if she's going to say yes or no. You guys remember that? Some of you old guys? Man, that was scary. But that taught you things. Knocking on doors for me in real estate was nothing compared to that. Okay? The key to talking to people is knowing what you're going to say. Okay? I can talk to y'all very confidently today because I know this one. You can tell. I've been there. But leverage is great. Using people, one of the most important hires you make, when you start doing $6 million a year or something, you need to hire an administrative person who can do a lot of stuff. I use a rule of 2. If I'm going to pay you $50,000 as my administrative person, then I expect to generate $100,000 of additional commission. Does that make sense? I call it the rule of 2. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for me to be hiring you. So let's get back to that. Human nature never changes. What people, I think today, your prospects, what they really want, they want personal contact. They want to talk to a person. It's cool. I use tools now that we didn't used to use, but now we use them again. In fact, I'll give you a tool. I use it. It's an incredible tool. You want to reach somebody and build a relationship? Use this tool. You ready? It was worth coming this morning to learn about. It's called a letter. Well, think about it. Y'all get mail like I do? If I gotta get a hernia now, just bring in the mail. And out of that, there's only 3 or 4 pieces worth looking at. But none of them are a personal letter unless it's wedding invitation or card. Correct? And most of them don't even send that. They send me a digital e-file. Right? No one sends letters. When's the last time you got a personal letter that you could tell looking at it, somebody wrote the name, or even typed it, but you could tell it was typed. It looks personal. This doesn't look. And it may have their name. They'll open it up, even if they don't know me. They're going to open it and they'll read it. I was trying to reach the CEO of a major builder in Los Angeles. They build national when we were selling this land at Horton. I couldn't get the guy on the line. Tried several times. The gatekeeper, she was very good. Finally, I said, all right, screw it. I'll go to a personal letter. I have a little stationery, you know, it's just like 80-count card, says Joe Williams on top. Well, you can tell it looks like a party invitation, but it's personal stationery. Hand wrote the address and mailed it to him. The day he got it, I get home. Wouldn't have mattered if the gatekeeper picked it up. Now, granted, here's what I wrote on the stationery. I talked to God this morning. Don't know why I'm having so much trouble getting you on the line. That's what I thought. And of course, he called me and he's laughing on the phone. Well, it turns out his brother lives in Austin. He loves to come down and he barbecue. But he said, Joe, it's the best line I've ever got. What do you think would have happened if the gatekeeper had opened that? No. She'd have handed it to him. She'd have said, you need to call this guy. He's been trying to get you. You need to call this guy. This is invented, if she's a good gatekeeper. Okay? Now, there's a lot of ways to get people. It's the personal touch. You with me? Gary says at MREA, when he interviewed the 32 people when he wrote the book MREA, how many times you got to touch people that you know? Was it 32, 33 times?
33.
33? 4 of those should be personal. And by the way, everything changes except
Human nature.
so human nature today is, for those, how many of y'all have landlines? And y'all have landlines? You old people, put your hands up. I get 6 to 7 sales calls a day. You do too, right? Well, nobody answers the phone now, right? We look at the screen, and we read the number, and we go, I don't know who that is. So we let it go to voicemail. But this is the beauty. If I call you and I'm a realtor, I'm canvassing, I'm going to call you and your first name is? Cleo. This is Joe Williams from Keller Williams. I work in our 620 office, and, not 620, 1604. I work in our office on 1604. The reason I'm calling you is, we recently sold a house in your neighborhood to a couple who is going to be working for one of the major employers that's expanding here. I'm taking the time to call you first. I'm leaving a voicemail. I'm like you, Cleo. I don't answer any of my calls. It all goes to voicemail, so I know hopefully you're listening to this. We have a reserve buyer who put in an offer on that house and they didn't get it. So that's why I'm calling to see if you've got anyone you know who's thinking about selling in your area. Please, I'm going to mail you a card with this referencing the conversation. If you will, just hang on to the card and just keep it next 30, 40 days, and if you find out some, I really would appreciate it because we're really scouring. They love the fact that they can be in the Reagan High School area, their kids are sophomore, junior range. So anyhow, I know hopefully you get the message. Have a great day. Mark is doing incredibly well. Thank God we live in San Antonio. Goodbye. How many of y'all get messages like that on the voicemail? Nobody. Nobody. I could sit there and make 50 calls into a neighborhood just like that. And what an incredible message to leave. Number one, they know it's not a robocaller. Number two, they're kind of interested, especially if they're heart. It just does it. The heart people listen to the whole message. Head people go, boom. Well, hey, 75% of them are heart people, so I got a good chance of getting through. I mean, I don't understand why people don't get this. Everything changes except human nature. They'll listen to that call. Hard people come home, the first thing they do is what? They go to the voicemail machine so they can hear messages and people talking. That's what they're people. When Gary and I bought our first copy machine, Gary's sitting over there yelling, Gary, how much is this machine? How much is the paper? How much is the drum? In the old days, they had a chipmunk that drove it with a drum. You don't know what I'm talking about. If you bought a copy machine in the old days, if the drum went, you were, SOL. So that's what Gary's asking for. Why? Gary's a what? You don't have. I'm on there. I'm sitting there going, give me a list of 3 people that have had this machine for 6 months that I can call. Why? Because I'm an eye. That's what eyes do. I don't care about the cost. I mean, I do, but I do and I don't. Agents who are high eyes should not be handling their own budgets. They don't know anything about money. Money's not their deal. Their wives should be handling it, or spouse, or somebody responsible. Hire a CPA. My good buddy works at the IRS, says, oh yeah, we love those hard real estate agents. 60% of them don't even make quarterly payments, and 40% of them owe the IRS. And I know that to be a fact. So, that's the deal. But eyes are still fun people. We just are. So, you're good. You're here. We are now talking to the Let me bring you up. got two handouts I'm not going to give you now because I want you to listen to the message that I'm going to deliver. All the scripts and the checklist that I talk about, they're going to get you. Okay? So, just listen. When I got into business, I was 19 years old. I was fumbling around at Tony Specia's office. Now, Tony was great. He was a broker. He was a big believer in training, just an incredible gentleman. I love the man. He had books, cassette tapes, he had everything. That's all we had back in 1973. You didn't have Brian Buffini and everybody out there. But I remember the day that I discovered a guy, like I'm trying to remember his name now, he's like the father of modern salesmanship. Funny. Like Janine says, when am I going to know you have Alzheimer's? Yeah. But he had record albums there. It was LP albums. And I would go across the street next to Jack Rieger, Chrysler Clement, and get bean burritos, and I would come back and I would listen to his albums. You youngsters, it's a big plastic disc. Yeah. Pretty cool. But he taught me how to close, how to talk to people, how to ask questions, and do it with some technique such that it made my job 3 times easier than fumbling around and not knowing what I was doing. It was like a big light had turned off. It was incredible. So I'm going to teach you in the next hour some of the things that I gleaned from him. And by the way, most of this stuff, people were doing 500 years ago. You just never heard about it. So first I want to talk about some concepts. See if we can get our clicker on. First of all, I want to ask you a question. What is the definition of selling? Anybody have an idea? Let me give you an answer. This is the best answer in the world, too. Especially when people come and say, well, it's like my son who worked at Circuit City. Remember Circuit City? He went bankrupt for a reason. Grant worker, he was 17 years old, he worked, so I walk into the manager. And the manager comes up to me one day and goes, oh my God, look at this. So look what your son's done. I'm looking. He says he's the #1 sales guy in a 9-store region. He only works 20 hours a week. Yeah. Well, you know, now me as a dad, I'm like, what do you expect? Hang around here. You know, any car doesn't fall from the tree. That's what I hope is the problem. But then I talk to Grant, I go, hey son, you ever thought about selling? Dad, I don't know. I love the music business. Yeah, I know. Grant didn't even understand. He didn't even understand what he had. He had that knack to work with people and talk with people. Hi, friendly kid. But he's a classic millennial. Doesn't know what he wants to do. Has no idea how to plan things. Oh, why plan? I mean, it's a Snapchat. Hey, I want to go see Dunkirk. You're doing it an hour before they all get together to go see Dunkirk, right? Yeah. When I went places on Saturday, you had to start calling on Monday. You know, hey, can you get a car? Will your mom let you go? Right? That's why as an old geezer I can plan things. Millennials can't plan. They don't know how to goal set. That's their biggest issue. They don't know how to goal set. I take them to Chewy's. We sit down. I look at Grant. I go, Grant, I want to ask you a question. If 12 months from now we're sitting at Chewy's and you turn to me and say, you know, Dad, this last year was just a spectacular year for me, what would have to happen in your life for you to say that? That's an exercise most millennials need to do. Because they don't plan anything. Because they don't have to. They don't have to do that until they get to college. Y'all have read the book Hard America, Soft America? Incredible book. We got raised in Hard America. Y'all work in Hard America. You don't sell what happens. You don't eat. That's incredible. That's Hard America. I grew up in an environment where if we didn't go to work, we didn't have money. When my dad died, it wasn't a pretty picture. Mom and the 3 kids. I was 10, we had to buckle up and get to work. By the way, it wasn't a bad thing. I worked at a toy store for 3 years when I was at SAC. It was a blast. Little Jewish family, the Always family, all my youngsters. Some of you old guys may know. Mel and Becky Always. Their son Steve Howard, they were great. I learned how to sell working for a Jewish family. Trust me, they know how to sell. They know how to sell. I once went to Steve, I'll never forget. I said, Steve, is it true the Jewish people, when you ask them a question, they always answer with a question? He looks at me and says, do we do that? Oh, yeah. For them, it was natural. They didn't have to take it. They learned it at their grandmother's knee. Great admiration. What's the definition of selling? Here's your definition. Come on, Mr. Clicker. Helping clients make wise decisions. I don't care what happens with technology. The internet's a disruptor, correct? For you, it's a great disruptor. It's helped you. When the internet first came out, I knew there were two branches to it. To me, it looked either like a shopping mall or a library, correct? What's the best representative of the internet of a shopping mall? Amazon, trying to become the ultimate shopping mall. What's the best representative of a library? Pure Library. Where do your kids go in high school to do research? The Wikipedia, probably. Right? Pure Library, they don't sell anything on Wikipedia. Now, Google became both, right? Google took both of those and became the KW of both. The internet hit the bottom. I'll never forget the first time I heard the word Google. It's kind of like, where were you when John F. Kennedy got shot? None of you remember that. I remember. Those of you who were alive, I remember the nuclear bomb drills. That was the goofiest thing. They put you out in the hallway, and you had to put your head between your knees. We had a kid, Charlie Strand, he was so funny. Teacher said, now y'all put your head between your knees. And Charlie would say, and kiss your ass goodbye. Charlie Strand! That was great. It makes me wonder, what is he doing today? If he's not down in L.A. at a comedy club, I'm going to be very disappointed. This is terrible to say, but the day after Kennedy was shot, the principal of the Almas Elementary, anybody go to Almas? Almas Elementary got his son to play taps on the school intercom for the morning. And as soon as he finished taps, Charlie says, "Come on, I'm a dead fish!" You know, the seal playing tag. Charlie, you're he probably owns a multi-million-dollar tech enterprise now. Anyhow. All right, so where was I? Oh, helping clients make wise decisions. Does this make you feel better about selling? It should. Because let me tell you something, the internet can't do that. Zillow would have cut you guys out 5 years ago if they could figure out how to do it. What they're now doing is the direct thing, it's the FSBO program. Whatever. That still's not going to work very well. Here's the reason. What you do is fairly complicated. Y'all get that? To me, there's 4 levels of the internet. Level 1 is a commodity level. There's a better example. It's commodity level. I can buy this on Amazon, I can buy it almost anywhere, right? What happens when this breaks? Well, I do it. I just pitch it. Well, listen, I don't care. I pitch it. Why don't I go to the best one I get it done? That's commodity level. Level 2, you gotta have service. Level 2 is this. When it breaks, what do? Well, I try to go fix it. Now, there's physical obsolescence now. They've learned that if they just keep improving them and changing stuff, you get so frustrated with the old model, what do? You just go buy the new model. They've got you on a string. They know that. That's why the young people don't like Apple, because Apple controls you, right? Android doesn't control you, but Apple does. Youngsters don't like it. But the point is, it's a service level. If it breaks, I got to go get it. Service, right? Computers, televisions, HVAC systems, I got to go get service. To me, there's another sub-level there. It's not an animal, vegetable, or mineral. It's sort of in the ether, but it's a product I got to have. Okay? And what is this product? Well, there's several. One would be mortgages. LendingTree.com, Rocket Mortgage. Right? Incidentally, it's not the cheapest alternative, which I find that hilarious. You get a lot of business, but they're not the cheapest guys. It's your job to tell people that. It's how you bring back. But insurance, Progressive, Geico. I want to tell someone, I don't want a lot of money. I just want 1/10 of Geico's national ad budget. So every time I turn around, I'm seeing it. It's incredible, that model. But it obviously works. So that's sort of what I call the ether level. And then it's everything else. Adopting a baby, having a medical procedure, buying real estate. Okay? It's complicated. It's complicated. Everybody's been trying to get in your business now for 15 years. I mean, I laugh. Brad Inman. He's hilarious. He gets everybody up on stage. I met the poor kid that started Redfin. He's a great kid. He's a great kid. He came up to me and went, I love you guys. He loves the KW model. He does. And he's good-hearted. But he's lost $613 million in 10 years. And I'm like, someone needs to sit down with him and say, listen, this isn't working. Okay? Well, I mean, it's not. It's about to go on for you. And I'm like, you need to revamp something. He's probably a high I. You know what I mean? With a computer nerd part, but he's probably a high I. Because high I's, it doesn't matter how bad things are. It's going to be better tomorrow. Well, that Craig can tell you as operating partners, when we get team leaders with really high highs, it almost doesn't work. Because it's all going to be better tomorrow. We're going to keep rolling this boat. Even though we have tribulations and the market's horrible, it doesn't work like that. A D would have cut that off, 8, 9 months ago. Some of the best CEOs are not your friends, but they're good, effective CEOs. I'm not an international. There's no job for me to do. They don't have a job for a guy like me at International, so I'm not there. I like to create things. Well, that doesn't work. I'm better off out here talking to you guys, doing my own deals, buying stuff in Florida. I have other companies. I have an insurance operation. I love it. There's 3 certainties in life I've learned now: death, taxes, and insurance. You can't function without insurance. It's really interesting. So, my point is this: you're at the 4th level of the internet. You're not going anywhere unless you seed this to somebody. Okay? Buying homes is difficult. It's difficult. If you know how to create value in a seller's eyes, you're not going to have a problem closing deals. And if you're not creating value in their eyes, well, you don't know what you're doing. Okay. So what's definition of selling? Helping people make wise decisions. That's what you're here for. All right, another concept. What's your product? You help people make wise decisions. What's your product? Your product is just the same product as Southwest Airlines. It's the experience of working with me. That's my product. I'll role play. Debbie, can I ask you a question since we're just meeting in the conference room? We're talking about needs. Can you give me an example of the best person who sold you a product or you worked with him as a vendor in the last 2 years where their service was so incredible, you recommend them all day long? Do you have an example of someone? Who would that be? Well, you were in Pittsburgh, we know that. Who was in Pittsburgh and what did they sell?
Actually, it was a real estate agent. She was very thorough, very consistent. Just gave a lot of information and everything, shows around.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, as Debbie talks about it, I'm going to ask her, tell me what made that agent special. And she's going to talk about it. And then I'm going to say, so Debbie, if I could deliver you that same experience level with a little bit of cherries on top, you'd be pleased with that, would you not? Y'all understand the conversation? What am I telling her? I'm going to deliver the same experience that you had from that agent. By the way, that's a great story. I love to hear that, Debbie. We love it when we work with good agents. because you understand the value of an agent. Okay? When people say to me, well, I'm not so sure I want to work with real estate, I ask them a question. Have you ever worked with an agent? Oh, yeah. John Mingo, Baton Rouge, and he was horrible. The best thing you can say is, tell me about why you feel like that. And let them explain that. What are they going to do? They're going to give you a nightmare scenario. The guy didn't know where he was going. We ended up paying more for the house. In other words, he was an idiot. And thank God, Zig, God bless you, buddy. Feel, felt, found. I understand how you feel. I run into people like that. I know. I felt the pain. Here's what I found. What that guy should have been doing was this, and this. And if he'd done that, you'd certainly have a different opinion today, wouldn't you? Kind of. What are they going to say? Yeah, now they feel better. They've got it out on the table. Okay? You better do that with people that say, oh, yeah, real estate agent. They're just, money mongers. You don't need them. Y'all realize there's 3 levels of the middle class. Y'all know this? Spent a lot of money to find this out for other companies that I'm involved with. 3 levels of the middle class. There's what we call the certainty seekers. It's top third. They're conservative. They've got money. They've worked hard all their life. They're responsible people. We call them the certainty seekers. They believe in institutions. They believe in the U.S. Postal System. They may gripe, but by and large, they feel like if they put a letter in there, it's going to get where it's supposed to go. You understand that? They like working with experts. They love Ace Hardware, because Ace is the place with the help of hardware. What do you think Ace Hardware runs that ad? They're going for this group right there. Then you got the do-it-yourself group. They're the DIY group. A lot of millennials in here. My daughter shops on Amazon. She didn't go anywhere. Of course, she got 3 little grandsons. As far as I'm concerned, big text is fine with that. She has to go anywhere. I'll go pick up whatever she needs for the boys. It's a blast. It's every bit what everybody says it is. It's fun. 4 years old, 2.5, 6 months. We're having a blast. Bottom line is this. The do-it-yourself group is one of the toughest groups. Why? Because they want to do it themselves. So when you craft a message for them, what's that message? I'm going to teach you how to go make these real estate investments yourself. Make sense? There's so many messages you can deliver to this group. It's unbelievable. By the way, Subaru loves this group and loves this group. What do Subaru ads always have in them? 2 things, dogs and love. That's true. Subaru's got the commercial with the dog. They got 3 dog commercials. The cutest one's the one where the dog's driving around now. You seen that? And pulls up in the house, and they got the little puppy in the baby seat. And so the mom dog pulls up, and she's like, and then all of a sudden the little baby dog wakes up. She starts driving again. Oh, she's driving the dog approves. Why do they do that? What does Subaru know about their customers? They all own dogs. That's it. They run dog commercials. Or they run love commercials because their families buy Subarus. Or they base it on safety. Does that make sense? That's the beauty of big data. Big data is scary, and at the same time for you it's cool. Because I can locate whoever I want to know. They know you're sitting here. Google knows you're sitting here. They've got your whole path where you go. They know what you click on. That's why when y'all go to the thing and you look up stuff, you're like, gee, why am I seeing a shoe ad? They know you were at the shoe store. You understand that? They can pay you within 5 feet. They know you went to 4 shoe stores on Monday. So by Tuesday, on your Facebook screen, you're getting ads from Zappos. Do you all understand how that works? Now, on one hand, that's creepy. On the other hand, it's kind of incredible. But that's the kind of pinpoint accuracy big data can do now. Unbelievable. I mean, I think I was back there doing that now. The last group in the middle class is the fear group. What do I mean by fear? What I mean is they don't have a lot of money. When they make a purchase, they can't screw it up. They don't have enough money to correct it. Does that make sense? It's a big group, by the way. Big group. How many people have saved a lot of money out there? Not many. Scary. Told somebody the other day, he said, man, I'm not into this recruiting thing. I said, I get that. Let me ask you a question. If you recruited a half town over 2 years, I mean, I could do that if I was comatose. Okay? You recruit a half capper in 2 years. What's a half capper going to make you in an office, in a KW office? $1,000? Probably close. How much money do you have back in savings at RFC, Randolph, Brooks, RBFC? How much do I have to make $1,000 a year in savings at 1.5% savings rate? You know what, 60,000? So what's easier, amassing 60,000 after tax capital on a savings account or recruiting a half capital? I don't know how to make it any easier than that. It's off the charts. I showed this to my son. He's like, I should be recruiting all the time. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, what an easy way to make money. Mailbox money. Hey, what's my product? Here's my product. It's the opportunity of working with me because I'm going to take training and experience and put the two together. I'm going to create a great process of how I do this. That make sense? Okay. What's prospect, by the way? Someone who has both a need and financial capacity. Okay? I talked to a lady the other day. He said, man, I'm showing 20 homes. And they can't make up their mind. What's going on here? Is that really a prospect? They're lacking that first thing. They don't need, they need you to drive them around because that's what they like to do. Okay? It's like a seller. Who says, yeah, I understand you're telling me the house is worth 400, but I want 600. They don't have a what? They don't have a driving need to sell this thing. I tell them, man, I got a great agent. He's a good friend of mine. We play racquetball together. He works for another company, by the way. I'll give you his card. I'm not going to mess with that. I need a seller who needs to go places. Right now, you've got a totally different market. What is seller's market or buyer's market? By and large, it's seller's market, depending on price range. But the whole nation is in a tight bind right now. I've never seen it like this. What's your average days on market here? One answer, somebody.
Less than 50.
48, less than 50. Unreal. What's a normal market with 6 months of inventory? What's that normally? 90 days? Yeah, 90, 120 days. Folks, I've worked through 5 dips in the real estate business. If you list, you last, that's great, except when you're in a buyer's market. I'm going to tell you, you shift basically based on what you're seeing. Because if it's a buyer's market, I'm out there looking for sellers. Okay? So you're going to go, well, I'm looking for buyers. It's not, it's buyer, yeah, reverse. Right now you're in a seller's market, so you want to look for sellers. Because the minute you get them, you price spike, boom, they're gone. Okay? No matter what personality type decisions primarily made, we talked about this. Using their head or using their heart, right? Now, head sellers only want to know 2 things about you. Are you competent? What's your first name? Will. That's my son-in-law. Is Will competent? This young man sitting in front of me, is he competent? Okay? And secondly, is he bringing me data to give me the whole complete picture? Because I love data. I used to get head sellers all day long by spending a lot of time on those comparables. How do I know they were a head seller? Because in the first trip I asked 5 questions. Always. Question number 3 was, hey Will, can you tell me about the neighbors across the street? What's a head seller do? They struggle. I think he works for Nortel. Or was it the Express? I think he's married. I see a woman there. I think he's married. Isn't that what a head seller does? They're not going to bother meeting the people across the street. They're going to meet the neighbors. But, what does a hard seller do? Oh, my Lord. Oh, he's been with the Express News, but he hates his job. His wife's a choir director right down here at Concordia Lutheran. She is incredible. Daughter's 14, blah, 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 blah. some point, you're like, okay, it's enough. But I know I got a hard seller here. I know the testimonials are going to be huge. I know that I need to spend time. I know that I need to build some mutual interest with them, okay? Because she's going to buy me based on liking me and trusting me. That's the key. It's going to take longer. The only benefit to a head seller is they're quick. When I did my own presentation, I would walk in and I would say, hey, Will, tonight I need you to do a couple of things. Number one, I need you to be able to go back. You know, you've been a seller. You've been in the home how long now? 10 years. So for 10 years, you've been a seller. It shows. Very nice product. But I need you and your wife tonight to do something you haven't done in 10 years. I need you to be able to put that buyer hat back on, because I need you to think like buyers. Because understanding values in the style area is all about getting in the heads of the buyers who have come to the table and put this, and I take the wallet, I put it on, I'm a visual kind of guy. And I put my wallet down, they brought their money to close on the product. Does that make sense? Equalizer. They both shake their hands. And literally, let me tell you, I have, at some point, sometimes with these people, I've got to a point where when we're starting to talk about price, they start talking like sellers again. And sometimes I push myself back on the table and I start looking on the floor. And they're talking. Finally, one of them says, did you drop something? And I go, no, but you did. I'm trying to find that buyer hat you put on earlier. Person once asked me, do you really talk like that? Yeah, I do. Because I understand what you're saying. Well, if I were you, I'd probably think that same way. But remember, what you're saying doesn't have a bearing from what most of the buyers have said based on these comparables. Here's the important things over. So I need you to think like that buyer. If we could sell this to a seller, that'd be great, but they're not buying, they're selling. Okay. The point I want to make here is head people are into data. They're into confidence. Heart people, they're into building a relationship. Does that make sense? So I tailor my presentation. And by the way, for you commercial guys in the room, people often say, oh, commercial, there's no emotion involved in commercial. Well, they all know that's bull. Because you have head commercial buyers and you got heart commercial buyers. Yeah, well. Where did we go to the next slide? All of this. We used to have a duck hunting camp down at Bay City. I'm a big duck hunter. My wife's brother, I don't know who was happier about being married to Janine or Luke, her brother. We now got a duck hunting partner for the last 36 years. So we had a duck camp in Bay City. So I took Grant out there. Grant at the time was about 16 years old. We hunted ducks. It was wonderful. He comes to me one day and says, Dad, we need to get a four-wheel. And I go, well, what do you mean we need to get a four-wheel? I said, Grant, what you need is food, shelter, some of the basics, water. Okay? Can't live without those three. Oh, so there are only three things you really need. What you want is a four. I get it. If all we ever did was run our life based on needs, we'd all be driving Hondas. Right? Right? We could buy used cars. Who's the guy on the radio, Dave Ramsey? I love Dave. How many of y'all listen to Dave Ramsey? Sell that car. No, I get yourself an 8-year-old used car. That's always his first solution. Get rid of the car payment, pay off the house. I mean, that's Dave's deal. And by the way, he helps all of these people that are here. They need Dave Ramsey. Right? These guys don't. They already got it. These guys, they need it. And these guys need to listen. But as always, just go, drive around in a used car for $5 and apply that money to pay off your house. For some people, that's exactly what they need to do. The point I want to make is, when people sit down and say, well, here's what we'd like to have, 80% of the time it's their wants. It's not what they need, okay? It's what they want. Because that's what drives life. Okay? And the acronym I always call is the product of the product. Okay? I sold more new homes to young men by saying, Jack, I know you can get a better deal out there in the Shenandoah area on 510. But I want you for just 1 minute, I want you to picture what it's like when you have a party and all of your friends are coming over to your house here in Stone. How's it going to make you feel? Only costs a little bit more to go first class, Jack. And you're going to be here for some time, aren't you? How do you want to feel about it? I'd hate to have you over there in Shenandoah sitting there going, well, it was all we could afford. You going to tell me you're not going places in life? I've met you, buddy. I know who you are. Does this make sense? What am I appealing to? I'm appealing to his wants. But also the product. If I go to Home Depot in search of a 1/4-inch drill, what is it I really need? 1/4-inch holes. Y'all understand that? It's the product of the product. The reason people buy homes is not so much because they gotta have shelter. You're buying a home because it's the friggin' American dream. You've been raised all your life, you run to the wealthy people and they said to you, yeah, the stock market's great, but most great wealth is built by owning real estate. What an incredible story that is. I see more real estate agents losing thousands of dollars in commissions because they don't know how to talk to their customers and clients about investing in real estate. And it's so easy to do. It's a wonderful investment. I was driving down the road this morning from Austin talking about Facebook is up 40%. Well, that's great and wonderful, but I just don't trust the stock market. You know why? Because it can still go up and down. I can read a Wall Street Journal. On one corner, I got a bear going, it's about to collapse. He's with Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley or whatever. And then in the same page, on the top of that corner, there's a guy going, man, nobody understands what's going on. This bull market's going to run another 3 years. Who's right? It's like arguing with my wife. The girl's a rubber band. I learned just, two most important words with any Southern girl is, yes, dear. It doesn't matter.
Which dress do you like, honey?
The blue one.
You don't like the tassels on the roof?
It's like, why are you asking me? I don't know the answer. I just know the product of the product in this case is, honey, they both look incredible on you. Which one do you feel better about wearing? That's my answer. And that helps. Right? She already knows. She doesn't want you to solve it. If y'all ever read that book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, it's a very interesting book. Women don't want you to solve their issues. They want to talk about it, get feedback. What's the most productive tool you have as a salesperson? This is it. Hello. Yeah, I heard it from the audience. Learning to ask questions. Learning that. And by the way, you can, closing concept to make your job easier. Hold on, let's see how it is. Oh, yeah, okay. We'll talk about this in a minute. Questions. Y'all understand when I ask you a question, you have to do what? Answer. So that's how you get where you're going to need. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. You use them in that proportion. The best professional agents just get you to sit down in the right environment. That is a lot. It blows my mind sometimes when people go, buyer calls or you get a referral. Oh, I need you to Starbucks. Are you freaking kidding me? I can't even hear myself in a Starbucks. Got these little tables. I can't put a laptop out. I don't have a screen. You've got $1 million offices. Use them. What Floyd Whitman used to say, CITO, C-I-T-O, what was that? Come into the office. Will is a new agent, got a multi-million-dollar office. Oh my God, have your buyers, man, don't do it on the weekend all the time. You're important. Ask them what they would work the best during the week. Would Monday work or would Friday be better? Or sometime in the middle, front of the week or the back end of the week. I don't even give them the option of the weekend. They'll come in. They'll cut work short, come in at 3 o'clock and visit you in your office. It's impressive, especially for you new people. But don't meet them off-site. That's just the dumbest thing. Do that. You're paying for it. It's your money. Okay. Learn to isolate attention. Okay, here's 3 little techniques for example. I learned this a long time ago. When I'm talking to you, no matter what we're going to talk about, I'm going to ask you, hey, you got 5 minutes? What are you going to say? Yeah, sure. Even if I call on the phone, yeah, 5 minutes. Everybody's got 5 minutes. And then once you start talking, what's that turn into? 15, 20, 30. As long as you're interested, keep rocking. But I've eliminated them saying at some point, well, ooh, sorry, I've got I asked them right up front. I want to isolate their attention. You have 5 minutes? Yeah, sure. Got it. Search for common ground. How do you do that? There's really 4 ways you do that. You can't get it to work. History. Do you have some history with you? Was this a referral and you both know somebody? That's common. And you talk about with somebody. Oh, he was great. We had a wonderful time. How do you know him? Have you ever met his kid? No, we talk. I just want to break the ice. That's that break the ice portion. Mutual interest. You're walking through the house and there's a picture of a sailboat. Are you a sailor? Oh my gosh, I've got a 32-foot hunter. I love Travis. We love it, you know. Blah, blah, blah. We talk. You know, that's what happens when you go talk to the CEO. First thing you do is scan the office looking for pictures and things you can talk about. We had a guy, oh man, this is interesting. Years ago, I sold a house, and we had a Linux compressor with a air handler made by a different company, a good air handler. Well, Linux, if you know, does not like you combining. So when the air handler went bad, we had to get a Linux air handler. So I ended up having an appointment with like the CEO of Air Co Mechanical in Austin. And when you walk in this guy's office, every single animal across the earth is mounted. We must have talked for an hour about all the hunts and stuff. I mean, it was so easy conversing with him. I know him from Adam. So we finally get to the back end, and he's like, well, what can I do for you? I explained my problem. Well, then I was an old buddy. You know, he just, hey, Jack, get in here. Hey, get this guy a Linux air handler. Go hook it up. Yeah, mutual interest. Yeah, it was cool. Compliment. How do you get your roses to do that? I'm going to end the conversation this morning with a story. Some of y'all have heard the story. I told it before, but I want to tell it again so we do it. But it was a compliment that really got me started. When I went to see this guy, he says, you're the manager? Yeah. I thought I was going to get some old guy. That's a pretty nice compliment starting a conversation. Because I am an old guy. A story that you can tell parable. It worked well for Jesus. Okay? No. Well, think about this now. 1,000 years of the Old Testament. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Before Jesus comes in, he's like, I got to change these people's hearts. How can I do this? That's not how it works. He tells stories. He get them in the crowd. He said, let me tell you about this. Farmer goes out to sow seed. You know the stories. It's great. I sit in a Catholic church. By the way, I'm not Catholic. Whether it's the perfect religion for real estate, doesn't matter when your clients come in on the weekend. We got a mass we can make somewhere. Janine's Catholic. I'm Lutheran. That's like Catholic life, so it works pretty good. Questions can be scripted. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to give you this. How many of you are first-time buyer? I was 6 months ago. I own a big piece of the Raleigh office, Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was talking with a young man, and he was struggling trying to get buyers to sign a buyer's rep agreement. Y'all ever had that problem? People have problems with it. Now, by the way, let me tell you, there's a problem with most buyer rep agreements I see. Because they'll be 5 pages long, small type, like a contract. And in that, 3 of those pages deal with one issue. And that's it. If I go sell you a house and the seller refuses to pay the commission, you have to pay it. So of the 5 pages, 3 of those deal with nothing but how I'm going to sue you to get the commission. Oh, that's a wonderful way to build a starting relationship with a buyer you're meeting for the first time. I looked at that document years ago and went, what a bunch of crap this is. I said, here's what I want to do. In fact, I asked this group of realtors, I said, let me ask you a question. How many of y'all ever sued a buyer for commission? Nobody in the audience had ever done that. So I looked at him and I said, then why do we have this document where they got to check the box to be able to work with us? And what happens? Most of y'all don't want to check that box, do you? So you just X out that box. Which means all you've got in an agreement is an agreement to agree, right? And the seller's going to pay a commission. Which in 100% of cases in San Antonio, Texas, that's what happens. Because you have an organized MLS. Thank you, Jesus. No one appreciates MLS. I get it. They rail against it. MLS. I tell agents, do me a favor, close your eyes a minute. Buyer's coming in the bar. And at 9 o'clock tonight, you go to the MLS to look up, put the thing together, and it's down for 48 hours. I'm going to make a living. You know, you're done. Complain. Because your MLS isn't working. You guys realize how important a tool that is? There's only 2 industries in the world that agree to cooperate like that. You and our competitors, you work for Cooper, I work for KW. We go after Will's listing, we're competitors, but the minute I get it, we're buds again. There's only 2 industries that do that. Your doctor doesn't do that, your lawyer doesn't do that, your auto dealer doesn't do that, your pharmacist doesn't do that. No one does that, except realtors and the auto salvage companies. And that's it. It's only 2 companies that cooperate like crazy. Yeah, find an offender for a 1973 Ford Coupe, I can get it for me to sell. They cooperate with each other on cars. Make sense? I just want you to understand how incredible a system that is. The feds came after Austin years ago because we had one of the internet guys starting up. Oh, you're trying to put them down through the control of your MLS. And I was in the room with the feds. I said, fellas, can you explain to me what you know about the MLS? They didn't know anything. I said, you realize because we have an MLS, Debbie as a seller can put her system on the multiple listing system. She now has exposure to every buyer in San Antonio that's working with a realtor. That's incredible. I mean, the purest market you have is an auction, an eBay auction. But they're not exactly pure because not everybody may be there. But how many buyers are working through agents? Because what do you charge a buyer for them to work with you? Zap! That should be the first part out of your lips when you're talking to buyers. What vendor have you ever worked with who gives you all this professional information and you don't pay them anything? Nobody does that except you and Wikipedia. Well, Google too. But Google, on the back end, they're going to make that. By the way, while I've been talking, they just made a billion. Google. Unbelievable. Okay, let me show you something. Questions can be scripted. Now, let me tell you what I've done. I'm going to give you guys the actual checklist for a first-time buyer in office visit. You can script this stuff. Now, I want to go through this quickly because I want a lot of time. But first thing I do, welcome and break the ice. Summary what we're going to cover. Debbie, I'm here. We're going to talk about 8 critical steps that I do for you to help us have 3 things happen. Number 1, I want to keep this affordable. Well within whatever budget you establish. I understand you may not know what that is yet, but in this process, we're going to talk about mortgage money and how that works and what you can afford. And then it's up to you to tell me how much you want to pay. That make sense? Second thing we're going to talk about is how we find those buyers. The beauty of working with an agent in San Antonio is we have access to a multiple listing system where all of the brokers agree to participate. So unlike Zillow and Trulia and a lot of these things that you looked at, our data is posted by the brokers themselves, so it's completely hyper accurate. None of those other systems are. You can think of us as a Trivago. Okay? Everything's here. Third thing we're going to do is I'm going to make sure when we find a house that you like, I'm going to get it at the best price and the best terms. Because in some cases, we'll pay their price if they give us our terms, and vice versa. Well, I'm here to advise you and help you. And by the way, when we find a house you really like, I'm going to go look up every house in that neighborhood that's sold. And we're going to look at that data and analyze it so that we know that you're not paying one dime over market value. And that's really how you want to buy it, isn't it? All right, let me show She says, yeah, we do. Now, that's just the three things I'm here. Now, any questions you have initially before we get started? Well, I wish I had questions. And you say, well, look, I'm going to make what I call a parking lot, and you write it. It's called actively listening, right? You write these things. Okay, then what I like to do is, I'm going to kind of put this on the parking lot, because as I go through the things we're going to talk about, I think a lot of these things will get answered for you. And then in the end, whatever didn't get answered will come. Fair enough? Equal understanding. Okay. All right. Finance section. Now, without me going into massive detail here, I learned a long time ago, when I was 19 years old, there were only 4 ways to finance housing: FHA, VA, convention, or assumption. Okay? Some of you ladies who dye your hair won't say this, but I know you were long enough and been old enough in the business that you used to be able to assume a loan by paying $100 to San Antonio Savings and Loan, and you did not have to qualify for the assumption. You don't believe that? Maybe you don't. Your name is? Becky. Yeah. Who'd you work for back then?
I was in Houston back then. I worked for.
Yeah. Who was it?
George Perkins.
Okay. I found her name. Yeah. She's and who's the big one that was there? There was a big guy there. Green, Gary Green was around that name. So here's the point. Becky remembers when you gave them $100 and you could assume their loan. Y'all believe that? Now that changed years later. You don't do that. There's no such thing as non-qualifying assumption. You have to qualify. But what we learned when we started back then, you had to get them qualified. We started out with a blank sheet of paper. And I learned when I got started, I was pretty young. I was young. I was small. I was probably maybe 3 inches below what I am now. And I knew they wouldn't necessarily believe it. I knew what I was doing. So I started with a blank piece of paper and I said, Becky, one of the best programs out there is the FHA 203B program, which back then was a state. Have you ever heard of that program? No. Let me walk you through it. Now, I started at the top and I walked you through the program. Now, what happened by the time I got to the back end of that? They felt pretty comfortable. Hey, nothing else, this guy knows his stuff. It gave me a chance to display knowledge to them. They're meeting me for the first time. This is why you got the map at the open house, Rob. When you're on an open house, you always ask them, has anyone told you what's going on in San Antonio? And they look at you like, no. Curiosity gets to that problem, right? So then you do your 10-minute San Antonio soliloquy. And that's scripted and memorized. San Antonio started out as a cow town. And it started with missions in the downtown area. And all the roads in the downtown area follow creeks. And that's why as you're going into downtown, all of a sudden everything goes, and all you have to remember is Navarro, because it followed a creek to get you out of town. So that's how you work with the downtown area. Now it's also split into 3 really geographic areas. The Northeast, North Central, and kind of the Northwest area. And it's a double pinwheel from a transportation standpoint. Loop 410 and then Loop 1604. So you can get to anywhere in San Antonio, depending on time, a lot easier than a lot of towns. Now the school districts, they came about, and then you hear this conversation. Now do you think they're going to interrupt me as I go through this? Yeah, they might with questions. Hey, we've heard about this NEIST. Is it the best? That's a very tough question. You're going to want them to do some discovery themselves so they can find out. But I love the question. Because that 10-minute soliloquy turns into what? 30-minute conversation with them. Yeah, then it's very easy to say, you guys working with anybody? They go, well, no, not really. They've had 30 minutes of conversation with me. You feel pretty comfortable. There you go. Okay, so my point is this. If you look at this, I'll do financing primer as follows. Explain the basic residential programs that might apply. Maybe they're first-time buyers. Maybe they didn't know about FHA first-time program. You should know difference between bankers and mortgage brokers. Today, you may go to a savings and loan for a bank. And 20 years ago, we wouldn't have done it. You go to an independent mortgage broker. Things have changed. Here's the difference between a bank and a savings and loan. Here's how they approach it. You should know this. How a house payment is calculated. Oh my goodness. Have you ever heard the term will? P-I-T-I? I'm going to walk through a quick example. We're going to do round numbers. Say you had a mortgage of $200,000. You hand them the calculator. Here's what they do. Payments made up of 4 parts. And here's what they are. Now let's do a calculation real quick. Think that's helpful? Yeah, they would be out. Yeah, they don't know what it means. Now they do. You know how to calculate. Cool. How house payments calculated, Justin? How closing costs work? Think that's helpful to a new buyer? Well, yeah. I'll show you an example. Here's basically what the closing costs, and here's what they are. Okay. Set appointment time with a loan officer right there. Should you recommend a loan officer? Yeah. I don't know about some of these instructors. Well, you should give them free loan officers. These are people who have never sold real estate for a living. I'm not going to do that. That's insane. I'm going to give you the guy that's going to save me the most money. We work with him. He's off the charts. He's as good as your agent. It's good. Oh, he's more. You're going to love him. He's going to save you the most money. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Yeah. Tie down statement. Does it make sense? I'm not going to concede this to a loan officer. This is my chance to shine. Does that make sense? You want them to sign a mutual interest agreement to work with you? Well, by God, show them value. I'm going to get you the best money because it doesn't matter where the money comes from, but it does. People will tell you, oh, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. How many of y'all have ever tussled with mortgage companies? I had one mortgage company on the real estate we owned. I would FedEx the payment to them every month. Cindy said, why are you spending $60? Because they're idiots. And every 18 months they call and go, wow, you said it's a late payment. Oh, really? We go pull the FedEx thing. Hey, it was signed by Miguel on, 2/16. According to my document, it's not late until after the 16th. Oh, I guess you're right, Mr. Williams. You think I hire the smartest people with those mortgage companies? No. It's the same guys that run the wire department at a bank. Okay? Well, they're better now because the banks make money on wires. But, don't make money, but they make money on wires now. They're happy to wire for you. So what's my point here? I'm going to give them the primer on finance. Then I'm right there and make the appointment with the lender. Does that make sense? That goes through you. That goes through you. You control that. That's part of your value. How the real estate industry works section. Great news. My services cost you nothing. Why is that? Explain it. The sellers pay. The sellers pay because they've got the greater need. We've only got 2,000 sellers in this area. We got 6,000 buyers. The seller is the greater need. So they've agreed to pay us. We've agreed to cooperate with any other brokers. That's how the system works. What a cool system, right, Mr. Buyer? That allows me to give you my service for free. You don't mind that, do you? They're going to go, no! Greatest tool on earth. I explain the MLS system. I'll pull it up. Have you got a screen in your conference room? Pull it up! Here's how we do a search. Oh, incredible! IBM moved a whole bunch of people from Boca Raton years ago. And I didn't understand in Florida. I don't have to South Florida now, so I get it. Everybody down there's got a what? In their backyard. A pool! Everybody pull it up on Google Earth. It's mind-boggling. Pool. And it's covered, right? Covered with eye. You gotta have mosquitoes eat your mind down there. And the no-see-ums. The no-see-ums come for the mosquitoes. Florida's a cool place. Man, you learn some math. Yeah. You got to like the scouts and the mosquitoes come out. Yeah. He's not kidding. The no-see-ums. He said, I'm sitting here fishing with our partner down there. 5 o'clock, his mom says, well, time to have a beer. I think he's going to bring it out. No. Time to go inside and have a beer because the no-see-ums come out in 45 minutes. And you don't see them, but boy, can they bite. Like black flies, man. Go, look at that. It's no-see-ums. And then we come back out and fish all night. He didn't mind fighting mosquitoes off, take care of them. Okay. Why realtors? Why realtors? How many of y'all have a copy of the Code of Ethics sitting right on that conference room table? Y'all realize how important that is? Do you realize, Debbie, I have a real estate license act that dictates in the state of Texas what I can and cannot do. I have to function as a fiduciary for you, which means if I was buying this, I have to treat you as if I was buying it for myself. That's the law. Isn't that pretty cool? And I've got a Code of Ethics by the National Association of Realtors 16, was it 16 preambles? That dictate how we professionally have to act with you. We're a highly licensed, highly controlled industry. People don't know that. I just wanted to share that with you just so you know. And sir, they don't have to read it. Now a head guy may go, yeah, let me see that. Okay. More day. Finding new home stories. How do we find new homes? Have any of y'all ever lost buyers to a new home subdivision? Yeah, because you didn't explain. Listen, if you see new homes, I get it. But here's the deal. You're either talking with a new home agent who's going to tell you whatever story he wants, or you go there with me, he sees me, he's going to give you the real scoop. Because he knows I can come back every month. So if you were him, what would you do? And the buyer goes, yeah, I get it. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't cost you anything when we buy that house. They've already got a commission built in. But they're not going to give it back to you as a credit, they just keep it. Which, I understand, you'd probably do the same thing. But if you need some help, we need to know the consult, we need to know what they'll give you in the way of incentives. We know that. We sell a house all the time. And that is true, by the way. I've sat most of them homes. If they see buyers coming in with no realtor, they're going to treat them differently than a buyer that's walking in with a realtor. They're going to get on them. We're going to get on your clients much faster. Levels of protection. We work as a fiduciary for you. Now, do you have a fiduciary document you have to give them? You'll have a broker information services document? Yes. Yeah. You can pull it out. Say, look, we'll talk about this in just a minute. But the state of Texas requires me to make you aware of these things. And you got to know how to explain a document. Talk about the seller's disclosure form. What's seller's disclosure form? Well, when you go find a home, what do you have, Becky? Seller fill out a disclosure form. I explained to them, I'm going to demand on every house that we get instant that we get this form. I don't have to tell them that it's kind of a bored thing. I'm going to demand that we have seller's disclosure. Yeah, they don't know. Okay? Pretty cool, huh? They've never seen this, by the way. They don't know anything about it until they start going out looking at houses, right? But you're going to demand that they get this form. Let me show you what it looks like. Seller telling you in their own words everything about the house. You can see how this would be a helpful lot, can't you? Yeah. Man, you're incredible at this point. Process of finding, contracting for, and closing or selection. How we select and go see properties. I do the basics. But we're not going to look at more than 6 homes a day. It's just the way it is. By the way, let me give you a clue. When you look at homes, you personalize them, don't you? If I go to a house where there's a bunch of karate belts hanging over the door, kids all playing karate and mom just forced them, what are we going to call that house? The karate house. You can't call a house, oh, that was 2805 Bloomdale. That tells them nothing. But if you say it was the karate house, they get it. You don't understand anything in pictures. Don't you? First thing they teach you at the Carnegie Institute is to remember people's names, you attach a picture to it. It says, well, it's William Tell. That's how I remember his name. I buy coffee at the same place every morning. A little girl first time said, what's your name? I said, can you think of a cup of Joe? Every time I walk in, what's she saying? Hey, Joe, good morning. That's how you do it. It's pictures. When I say the word dog, what goes through your mind? A picture of a dog. Maybe a dog, you know. It's not D-O-G. It's a picture. Picture. Paint pictures. How we select and go see properties, discovering sold comps. And that's why I just tell them, look, I'm going to pull up the sold comparables. There may be 4 or 5 sold comparables. We can look at the numbers. You can make a knowledgeable offer to the seller. Explain the use of earnest money. Current negotiating reality is a seller's market, is a buyer's market. I didn't talk about it. Let me tell you, normal market, we have 6 months of inventory. Call out a balance market. Right now, we've only got, how many months of inventory do we have? 4? 3? 3? Oh my God, we're in the seller's market. If we find something, Becky, we got to move on. That's the way this market is. It's just the reality of the market. You've probably heard this from newspapers and print, haven't you? And they relate a story. Oh my God, my grandmother. So get ready. When we find it, we've got to move. Is this helping? This is the script I use. By the way, when I was new, I pulled this up and I just checked it as we went. So I wouldn't forget anything. Hey, people love that. This guy's organized. Oh, it's got a multi-million-dollar listing, and I'm not a luxury agent, by the way. And when I asked the guy, I was a new agent. When I asked the guy, Bill Talbot, will I said, Bill, can I ask you a question? Yeah. Why'd you give me the listing? You knew I was new. He said, yeah, I knew you were new. But he said, I love it when you pulled out the checklist of all the right questions to ask. He said, nobody did that. He said, oh, so you were honest. When everybody said they'll make appointments to show my house, you were the one who looked at me and said, listen, it's pretty stupid. We got electronic lock boxes. I can come out here and show the house, but they don't want me around anymore. A real life buyer just wants to go look at the house by themselves. And he said, Joe, do you realize how hard it was for us to schedule showings when we first came to Austin 3 years ago? Because everybody insisted that they had to come over the house. He said, I thought that was archaic. You were the only guy that was balls enough to say, that's a stupid idea. He said, I know, I liked you right then. That was before you got to all the checklist. Anyhow, you understand? And it was me being real. You got an electronic lockbox. My God, I can tell you who's been out here. It's the voicemail or landline story all over it. Contractual protections for the buyer. Loan qualification. You don't qualify, what happens? You don't buy. Option periods of repairs. Hey, we're going to have an option period to check, to have an inspector come out and look at the house and make sure that structurally all systems are working. Does that make sense? Of course it does. So here's how they set up this option period. I kind of explain that. Clear title being delivered, appraised values, closing dates and time frames. That's how they get out of a contract, by the way. There's is that 5? Yeah, that's the 5 ways you get out of a contract as buyer. I'm not telling what they are. I'm not even out of contract there. Contractual rights to the seller. Seller has a couple of contractual rights too. You don't buy, they can sue you. Okay? But if you don't qualify, it doesn't matter. You can get out of contract. Answer questions not answered on the parking lot. Now I'll go back to the parking lot and say, okay, let's check and see if we've answered them. By the way, we answered all the solar questions. Last thing they hire you via the forms, you need to execute the disclosure document. That's the broker's information services. And I use a 3-page form. And all of this is an agreement to agree. It says the seller is going to pay the fee. You agree to do this with me. I agree to do this for you. It's an easy form. I can explain it to them in 10 minutes. How many times do you think they sign it? A lot. A lot. Now, all it is an agreement to agree, but they now know what value is being delivered, do they not? And they're impressed. I mean, this may take an hour, but hey, was it worth it to do it for them? Heck yeah. When it came time to sign, I can send a home with a mutual agreement. I've done that before too, although I like to close it right there. But I understand, especially with head sellers. Take this home, read it over, any question, you have to call me right back. I'll get to work right now. Let's talk about what it is you want to look at, what you're looking for. Let me talk about it. Make sense? That's why you do buyers. And then they're signed on the dotted line in mind. They don't stray. They know the system they know how it works. They know the value we deliver. Okay. 3 basic closing techniques everyone should use. I can use them all day. Question, what a question? Will they leave the refrigerator? What are you saying? Would you like to believe it? A good friend of mine used to work at Wolf and Marks. Y'all remember that? How many oldsters in here? Wolf and Marks, North Star Mall. I worked at the Toy Box. Joe Hodges worked at Wolf and Marks. He sold ladies' shoes. I said, man, I would love to have that job. Here's why. Because closing ladies' shoes was easy. When they say, can I get it red? The answer was always, tell me what you're trying to coordinate with. It was question with question. You didn't say, I can do that. You know? I mean, I hear people missing opportunities to close buyers, to learn more about the buyers because they don't use a question with a question. Do they? Finance data. Like I said, when I asked Steve, Jews always do that. Do we do that? Tie downs. I don't have to say, y'all kind of get it right. And tying you down, all that. I use them all the time, don't I? I use them with my kids. I learned to talk to millennials. I use tie downs. Because I got to get them to admit that they heard what I said. You heard what I said, didn't you? The next time you use the sailboat and don't wipe the floors, you're not going to be able to use the friggin' boat. Do you understand that? Yes, Dad, I got it. And then he doesn't wipe the stupid floor. I've been using these 2 equalizers on you all day, haven't I? ago. That one is right. That's fair enough, isn't it? I use that all. It's wonderful. That's the best. Right next to this one, that makes sense, doesn't it? I call those equalizers. Learn to put those into your vocabulary. It's going to make your life so much easier. Okay, Joe's top 6 closing scripts. I'm running late, so here's what we're doing. I'm going to run through these real quick, but you got to get up. Okay, and I'll tell you which one I use for which. Anybody's got to leave, don't worry about it, go. I understand totally. Now that I think about it, we got started 30 minutes late, that's why. Okay, the alternate choice. This I use every single time I got to get an appointment. This is your appointment close. Always an alternate choice. You don't say, can we get together Friday? You don't do that. Because then they can say what? No. You say, would you like to get together Wednesday or would back end of the week work better for you? It's an alternative choice. Then they get to make a choice. But you always use this when making appointments. That's the appointment clause. Probably what I should call it. Reduce to the ridiculous clause. You don't have to use this one a lot today. But let me tell you, if you do, it's wonderful because mortgage rates are so cheap. And look, well, I want somebody, let me explain something. It's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Nobody has figured this out. So I'm having a conversation with my daughter who got married in 2010. Thank God I've only got one daughter. Oh no, y'all, you guys know who married your daughters. You want how much for flowers? And they're going to live how long? Of course, I'm married to little Miss Southern Belle. I can only imagine. Anyhow, fabulous wedding. At least it's on their website. It has been for years. Probably for a reason. No one's ever spent this much money on a wedding party for you. Anyhow, I do it all again. So the bottom line is this. Here's what I want to point out. When I bought my house in 1981, Janine and I got married. I bought her house for a Valentine present. This is so funny. We get married in May 2nd. This is April. So I buy a new home from Doyle Wilson Home Builders in Austin, Texas. I take the whole package and I mail it to her and I say, Valentine, look what I got you. And here's all the stuff, just floor plan stuff, not a picture of the house. So she's excited. So she comes to Austin City. So I go to my friends and we buy fabric that comes in a roll, spool of gingham fabric. And we wrap the house with gingham ribbon and we tie a big bow in the middle. And we have to use a stake, a real estate stake, to hold the bow up and then it goes in. So we're driving on the block and I tell Jeanette, I said, okay, guess which house is yours? Right? So we're driving and she's so funny. She goes, that's the weirdest thing. Look what they did to that house. I'm like, honey, here's a reef. She was embarrassed. We got a picture of cutting the ribbon. It's really cute. Where was I going with this? Oh, okay. So here's the deal. So we bought a house for $83,000 on a starter home, first home, 13% interest rate. Okay? When you do principal and interest, your rigor is amortized, correct? You amortize it. At 13%, 2% of the payment goes to principal, and 98% of the payment goes to interest. And this goes on for like 5 years. Oh, it's ridiculous. Life's like an interest-only note. What I was pointing out to my daughter and my son-in-law coming up is you guys are going to buy a house, first of all, because you're buying it at the time, I think it had 3.5%. Will was captain in the Army. He's vetted to get a VA loan. At the time it was 3.5%. I said, you can buy double the size of the house that we had. They want a house for $235,000 at 3.5%. But here's what was the cool thing. At this rate, 26% of the payment goes to principal, and the remainder, which would be what, 74? 74% goes to interest. Do y'all understand what a huge difference that is? My gosh! It's the difference in amortization with the rate. At 3.5%, it's like 4 savings. You're putting money, you're paying this thing off so fast. it's all 30 years. You knock that back to 15 years, it's even better. But no one seems to talk about that to millennials. I'm blown away. Anyhow, that was worth the price of admission. Well, running numbers is incredible. Which makes running to reduce the ridiculous clothes even better. Because you can tell people, yeah, there was a $100 difference, but amortized out, it's the cost of the Starbucks every 3 times a week. Does that make sense? That's reduced the ridiculous. Education clothes. I love this. Use it for years. Jack, I ask you, have you ever been through this process before? Have you ever purchased a home? Well, no. Some first time. Would it be helpful if I take a moment to walk you through the steps a smart buyer should take before purchasing your first house? That's the education close. You can use that for all day long. When I got married, I walked into the mall, Northstar Mall. I went to the corner of the mall, all the jewelers on. You ever notice that? They're always on the corner. And I walked in, and a very astute guy says, "Hi, my name is Steve Silver." That's the first thing he said. I said, "Hi, Steve, I'm Joey." He says, "Well, John, guy your age walking in the jewelry store, there's usually a Reeves." That's a great line. He didn't say, "Yeah, help you." Because what's the normal response to that? "No, I'm just looking." They'd fire you with the Always toy box if you said that. We never asked a customer. We're as good as Chick-fil-A. "Now, sir, it was my pleasure." Chick-fil-A, Truett Captain, what a smart guy. God bless you, Truett. He died, 2 years ago? Chick-fil-A has 3 drive-in lanes in Austin. That's an incredible story in itself. It's fried chicken! People! They don't care. And they cater to the grandkids, so I'm there all the time. They love it. Chick-fil-A nuggets. Funny. Point is, education clothes works well. So I walk in the jewelry store, the guy says, "There's got to be a reason here." "Well, as a matter of fact, I'm getting married, and I need to look at diamonds." He says, "Joe, let me ask you a question. Have you ever purchased a diamond before?" "No." "You think it might make sense to take about 10 minutes? Let me give you a little bit of history about how to do that correctly." What's my answer? Who did I buy the diamond? Yeah. He's still in business. I told the story one day to somebody knew him. I thought, "You got to be kidding. Tell him I'm around. Tell him thank you." Because then he used the antique clothes on. I'm back there looking at the cracks and carbon and all that. I know the antique clothes. He was a master. Well, then I bring Janine in, of course, while she's looking at that. He said, "Man, the diamond they got waylaid here because UPS couldn't make the thing, but I want to take a look over here." And Janine's like, "Oh yeah, maybe did more like it." You know which one we bought? I do it at the bank, borrow money, pay off the diamond ring. That's just insane. The assumptive close. That's how I close my list right there. What do? I push the sellers close across the table and say, "Who's got the better opinion?" That's it. That's an assumptive close. If they stop me, then they're going to have a question. That's fine. Now I get to work with an objection. But I use the assumptive close all the time. Answer close. This is used for attorneys. Y'all ever sold attorneys real estate? The reason attorneys and brokers can't work together is y'all realize you come from 2 completely different environments. Brokers come from an environment of, how do we make this work? Right? How do we make this work? Sure, we can make this work. Lawyers spend 3 years going to school doing, what's wrong with this? Y'all understand? I don't blame them. That's how they have to do that. They're lawyers. They got no law. So you put those 2 in the room and it's like what? Oil and water. So the way I used to always close attorneys, and it's the script. "Jack, if you could solve this in the best scenario possible, how do you think you'd structure it?" "Well, here's how we could make this work." And you sit back there and go, "Damn it, that's great. That's a great idea. I'll go back to seller and ask them." Let them solve it. They got an ego. They have egos. You ever sold a doctor and a lawyer in a deal? Like the doctor's the seller and the lawyer's the buyer? Oh, because again, doctors are my. I know some of y'all are married to doctors, and that's okay, but they're, to be good doctors, they got to be myopic. They concentrate on what they're doing. Some of them have horrible bedside manners. You find a doctor with great bedside manner, they're going to do well. They're going to do well because they're somewhat high octanes. They like to work with people. They got that servant leadership concept. I've got the same thing, but I like to make money. Okay? I mean, I laugh. The clerk says, and Joe does this for free. Well, I get money from all of y'all, so it's not quite. I mean, I appreciate you thinking that. Handling the classic, I like to think it over. Dave Edwards, father of modern salesmanship, now his name came back. He taught me this. It's a script. Someone says to you, well, I want to think it over. Your answer is, well, I appreciate you saying that. We've hung out enough right now, I know that you would not be saying that unless there was something specifically for sure you wanted to think of. What I wanted to ask you is, was it the financing? Was it closing that? Was it what have I done? I'm just pulling right back into the conversation. Here's the key question. When you do that, what is it exactly you wanted to think about? Is it, you do not hesitate. If I say, what is it you wanted to think about? And I shut up, what does he say? Oh, everything. And now I'm dead. Because I can't cover everything. But I can give him a list of things, and maybe I missed something. Maybe he's hung up on the financing. Maybe he needs to go talk to his wife. He's out there shopping. He made a trip down, but she couldn't make it. He's uncomfortable getting any further in the process without talking to his wife. But I'm not asking to get back to where it is so I can get an answer. Does that make sense? That's a script, by the way. People say to me all the time, oh, I don't like using scripts. Let me tell you something. If you don't like using scripts, it's probably because you don't know the script. But if you know the script, they are not going to spot it. Okay? You just have to know the script. It's like a boxer who boxes. They throw a left punch. If you have to think about what to do when they throw a left punch, well, you're already knocked out. It has to be unconscious competency. They throw it, I put my leg on. Okay? You need to practice drill the first scripts and get to know them. Okay. Last, combining several techniques on a first-time buyer. This, and I'll just give this to you. This is how I get an appointment with a first-time buyer. It works every time. And basically, it's no more than, well, since you've never done this before, you think it might be helpful to sit down and let me walk you through A through Z as to what you need to know before you even get in the car so that you're prepared to make a better decision. You think that would be helpful? What's he going to say? Oh, yeah. Well, I can do this in about an hour in my office. Is it more convenient to do it front end of the week with you or back end? Time alternate choice. And that's it. Boom, we're in the office. I love getting calls from first time. All right, last thing I need to know. One of the principles I didn't cover with you, and it's a very important principle, is this. Your big why, what I call vision. It's all about vision. Vision is what I call VD, VDPR. The V is the reason you're doing this. Why do you get up in the morning? Okay? And don't tell me it's because I want to make a lot of money. It's not the money. I make a lot of money. That doesn't mean anything. It's all about what you're going to do with the money. Right? It's what money can do. I laughed. I was talking to a bunch of commercial agents the other day, and I said, what's the goal of all commercial agents? What's the ultimate goal of being in real estate? And everybody doesn't get it. For me, it's leisure time. That's my ultimate goal. I work hard so I can have fun when I'm off. It's exciting for me now. I've got 3 grandsons. It's added a whole new dimension to my life. Thank God Kimberly lives in Austin. 20-minute drive, boom, I'm there. And they love me and I love them. And they're at that stage, because I know they're going to hit a stage where they don't want to be with big techs. I mean, 4 or 5 years, and then they'll start shooting shotguns, and then they'll be back with big techs. But I'm going to hit that stage with the girls and the cars and the video games. God knows what they'll have. But right now, I'm going to enjoy it. That's my goal. I want to spend time with those boys. So the reality is, you need to figure out what your big why is. But look, it's like losing weight. If you don't understand why you're losing the weight and what your life's going to be like when you do lose the weight, for example, half of your closet you'll be able to wear again. Right? I mean, you will. You're going to feel better. You're going to be healthier. You know, we always talk about it. But if you've got a vision of it, then you'll acquire the D, which is the discipline to go make it happen. Because without the discipline, you want a good marriage? How much you need? How much you need? You ever sit down and talk to your spouse and say, you know what? Let me tell you something. Jenny and I are the same personality. We fight like cats and dogs. Because we're the same personality. And she's a Southern girl. She's not going to change. But I'm supposed to. So we fight like cats and dogs. And it's tough. It ain't easy. Anybody can tell you in this room, you got a good marriage, you got to work at it. It's just like this. If you don't get the vision of what you're trying to do in your marriage, you're not going to get the discipline to make it happen. You just won't. But if you've got a strong vision, you will become what you think about. Then you can acquire the discipline to get it done. You won't lead generate if you don't understand why you're doing it. Because if you get the discipline, then you'll acquire the planning. All right? Because let me tell you something. I learned a long time ago is if you write things down, they get done. Weird how that happens. I can prove it to you. How come when you're going on a trip for 2 weeks, the 3 days before you go on that trip are the most productive time you ever had? You ever notice that? Why? Because you made a list. You made a list. You organized your life for those 3 or 4 or 5 days prior to, and it's amazing what you got done. Now imagine if you use the same discipline and planning on your vision of why you're here. The vision of the 2-week trip, it's a reality. You studied it, you knew where you're going, you knew where you're flying. The vision's so strong, you knew you could acquire the discipline to get it done, and you got the plan, which gave you all the results. So if you apply this same formula to the things you're trying to do in your life, it's amazing how powerful you can be. All right, here's the story, and then I'm out. Well, actually, Craig's lined up a lunch. So San Antonio, Texas. I'm working for J.B. Goodwin. J.B. was a senior when I was a freshman. His brother, Guy Goodwin, and I are still good friends. Gary and I left J.B. to form Keller Williams Bank. J.B. is great. I was the manager of that office. One day, the receptionist came in, and she said, "Joe, there's a young man out here to see you." And there was just something in her voice, the way she said it, that was just odd. So I didn't really ask who it is, and I didn't ask. So I came out behind my office. Here's this young man. He's the one that said, "Were you the manager?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I was expecting some old guy." Compliment, pretty good. So we chit-chat a little bit. And he said, "Well, do you have someplace we could visit?" I said, "Well, yeah, sure. Let's go to the conference room." Sat down in the conference room. He talks a little bit. He says, "Well, in your business, you probably need to be up on current events all the time because that might impact real estate values." And I went, yeah. He asked me another question. Oh, something like that. Interest rates. Knowing interest rates are important. Yeah. He said, "Well, the reason I wanted to stop in today is I think I have a tool that might apply to what you do and help you do." And he pulled out these magazines. Time, Newsweek, Life, just old line, right? Life, the youngsters got to go to the library and look at Life magazine. He's a magazine seller. And he talks to me and he says, "And because you're in the business, I think we can get you a great rate on a 5-year program." All right. Oh yeah, I talked you down for 3 years. Got up on the table, went to my office. In those days, we wrote a check. There wasn't no credit card, any of that. Came back, gave him the check, shook his hand, and the young man turned around and wheeled out of my conference room. And I went to the front door of the office. We were like a retail strip center on Jones Small Place. And I went, and I opened the door and I watched. And he was taking his wheelchair and wheeling down to the next office and going in. Now this is July. It was hot as Hades, a July day. And here's a kid selling magazines, maybe 14, maybe 15. in a wheelchair. Door to door. That's a God moment for me. And I thought to myself, if he can do that, what can I do? And I will tell y'all, if he can do that, what can you do? It's more than you know.